I guess 7:30 meant like 7:40, 7:45.
I know. I had to watch a little bit in gymnastics.
I turned it on. It was 7-0. I went, huh? I'll be damned.
It was just more of the same throughout.
Poll question: is Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan?
Where does Jim Harbaugh
Where does
coach?
Jim Harbaugh go? That's a good one. Much better.
LA Chargers, Las Vegas Raiders, Chicago Bears, Michigan Wolverines.
I like it.
Money.
Look at this. What the hell's happened to us? I don't know if I can handle.
Who's got it better than us?
24. Oh, stop it.
Everybody. Damn near everybody.
Oh,
People that are asleep right now.
I struggled waking up this morning.
I hit the snooze 3 times.
I did as well, at least. I got 3 energy drinks here in case. Usually it's just one, but I bought 3 today.
Empire, Ammo, Wancho, Ryro, AJC. You guys are fired up, ready to go.
Hey, happy basketball season, everybody.
We're not there yet.
Not quite, but
appreciate the sentiment. You know. Man, you know people are fired up when Paul's the 6th one to chime in. That's when you know, damn. So starting 5 for the second segment?
Sure. This is going to be a hot show today. We got how many? 7 guests or something like that?
We have 5.
5?
Everybody just kept saying yes. It's like, you don't normally go, you send out 4 or 5 requests, you don't bat 1,000. We were batting 1,000 yesterday. It was like, huh, I'll be damned. I was thinking more, quick hitters today. Like, we don't have to. First of all, Bill's got a show, so we could be done with him by 10 of at the latest,
Yep.
Give us some time. Obviously, Bruins, Avs with the play of the day, right?
Oh, of course. No.
Pacers, Celtics? No. Okay.
I wish. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. The morning after the national championship game. The morning when all we have left are 13 NFL playoff games. We ask the question, how the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? Here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 3 men who I think stayed up all the way to the end. So you know how much sleep we're operating on. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Come on. You only have to deal with this once every 26 years. I mean,
I know. And for all of my friends that are Michigan alumni, I congratulate them. It was a tremendous season, and they're the champs. What else can you say? They deserved it. They played incredibly well. They took Washington out of their game last night, never really gave them, even when Washington seemed to have a sniff, Michigan stopped it. They were the better team throughout. It was obvious.
there was one moment, it lasted about 8 seconds, in which I thought, huh? When it was 20-13 and they completed the slant and go for about 35 yards and they were going to be set up around Michigan 30. And then, because the flag didn't appear on the graphic right away. But then all of a sudden you saw Penix wasn't moving. And you're like, well, what's he still doing there? Oh, there must be a holding penalty. And I thought that the tackle grabbed the end and threw him to the ground.
But there was a lot of grabbing in that
Yes.
game that wasn't called. I mean, they
Yes.
called that game very loose from that
Yes.
standpoint.
Yes, in the secondary and at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, the ACC ref said, just let them play. We're going to let them play. We're going to let them play. And which I think most of us as fans like, but then, since we all know there's holding on every play. So when they do call the hold, it's like, oh, now you're going to call the hold. Was it holding? Oh, sure. Absolutely. But, so for those 8 seconds, I thought, I don't know. I thought, we might get 20-20 here in the fourth. This will be fun. Can J.J. McCarthy complete a pass? Will they even trust him to throw one, not on third down? I really did think. I thought Bo Schembechler was coaching the game last night. I thought it was Rick Leach. I thought it was Rob Lytle, Butch Wolfork. I'm like, wow. So they run on first, they run on second, and they run half the time on third. Hell, they're not even going to throw on third down. Oh, okay, it's long enough. They have to throw on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8.
There were a few times that I was channeling my inner Bo going, why are you throwing the football? I mean, every once in a while they would stop a Michigan running back at the line of scrimmage on first down, and then Michigan would. There's one series in which they threw on 2nd and 3rd. Like,
yes.
What are you doing?
I thought JJ was nervous.
Stop you running.
I thought JJ was nervous. I thought the whole first half he was a wreck, to be honest. And I didn't think he snapped out of it till he had that 3rd down scramble. Late 3rd quarter, they're backed up inside their own 10, and he scrambled it out to the 30. I didn't think he snapped out of it until that play. And I'm like, oh, okay, he should be able to play now. But, yeah, I mean, the better team won.
And it wasn't close.
Yeah, I mean, it was Washington did the rope-a-dope. They did. Give them credit. I mean, that first quarter, I thought we were watching the 95 Nebraska. I'm like, oh, wow. They're just going to score every time they have the ball. This is Swiss cheese. This is going to be damn.
They're blowing guys off the line of scrimmage on that first drive. And throughout the first quarter, they're just doing whatever they wanted at the line of scrimmage.
Yes. It's like, hey, how about we run right this time? Okay, we'll run right 8 yards. We'll run 11. Can we go back to, hey, run behind me? Fine, Johnny, we'll run behind you. 11 yards. It's just damn. But so, listen, I said it. I don't know if you agree. Fowler and company brought it up late. Fowler said, if you want to think of them as cheaters, that's on you. And I'm curious, to those of you out there, is this national title in any way tainted? And for me, it's not, even though Michigan cheated in my eyes. There's no doubt. In 21 and 22, they cheated.
And we're trying in 23.
Yes. And they
made every effort. They cheated in the first half of the season. There's no denying that they weren't cheating for games they didn't need to cheat for.
Right. UNLV and Rutgers, it was harder for them. But, Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Washington. I mean, They lined up. They beat them. To me, they're not the Astros. They were close. Man, were they close. But they're not.
Hang on.
Are you doing a little that? I did think the sports gods had a sense of humor putting the title game in Houston. I mean, as it turned out. We should have made, and I got the pick right, but Mark, upon further review, come on. The national title game was in Houston. How could you not think Michigan was going to end up there? I mean, come on. The sports gods have a sense of humor.
They definitely have a sense of humor, or they're aware of bigger
the irony.
Games. Right.
The sports gods know irony. I mean, that should have been like, listen, I broke it all down, okay, and Alabama's a better team and what have you. But the title game's in Houston. The Astros, you just start banging on a garbage can. You go, so Michigan's going to win. That's how it's going to work out. But to me, this title's not tainted. His tenure is a little bit, there's no doubt to me, but to me, this title is not tainted.
I want to call them cheaters really badly, but there's no evidence to support that they cheated against Ohio State, Alabama, and Washington.
Huh.
So, as much fun as it is, they won the games without cheating.
They won the important ones anyway.
Now, if you think UNLV would have got him week 3, that's on you.
Right. I mean, Rutgers did win a bowl game this year. That was a very formidable Scarlet Knights team. But so there you have it. The college football season is come and gone. Think about it. I mean, Harbaugh didn't even coach 10 games this year. It's crazy. Are we ever going to see something like this again? The national championship winning coach on the podium where you could type in suspended twice for 3 games each at various points throughout the season. I mean, nuts.
Book ended. First 3 games, last 3 games of the regular season, of course.
Right? I mean, Do you think, by the way, and obviously we'll never know, do you think the committee, if the Big Ten had done what we had recommended, which is make Michigan ineligible for the conference title game, do you think the committee would have put them in at 12-0? I mean, remember, they kept Florida State out at 13-0. So they obviously were going to make up the rules as they went along. It is Michigan after all. Do you think they would have put Michigan in at 12-0 if Tony Petitti and the Big Ten had followed our guidelines? Because in theory, Ohio State would have won the Big Ten.
Right. I that was, and that was yours, not mine. I'll let you have all credit for that because that was your idea. That was what you wanted. I never had any thoughts on that idea, but I don't know. It's a hypothetical. Probably because throughout the year, they thought Michigan was one of the 4 best teams. They had always said that. So under those guidelines, yeah, I think they get in.
Crazy year. I think any one of 7 teams, when we look back, any one of 7 teams could have won the title this year. The 4 that made the playoff, Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State. That there were 7 teams this year that at various points in the year and even near the end of the year, you thought to yourself, late November, you're thinking, and some at that time, people were also thinking Oregon. But, late November, you're thinking, you know what? Unlike most years where I think there's only 2 teams, I think 7, 8 teams could win it this year. I just hope next year when we have a 12-team playoff that we have as many teams that we think can win the title in next year's 12-team playoff as we're vying for this year's 14 playoff.
Just see how the one bid leagues do next year, David. It's all about the one bid leagues and see how they fare with the multi-bid leagues.
Wait, is this college basketball you're talking
No,
about?
this is college football going forward.
Got it.
The selection show for the 12-team playoff.
So the BCS, we had that for like 98 through 2013. And then we had a 10-year run here, the 14 playoff. Now that it's over, what'd you think? Did you like it better than the BCS, the two? We had about 50.
Absolutely for me.
Okay. So you liked 4 better than 2?
Much more.
Okay. Did you like 4 or 2 better than the old way when we just put bowl matchups together and we just let it go?
4 was the best method to me.
Of the 3 that we've used here.
Of the three methods that we've had in modern times, I think the last one was the best one.
Okay. And do you think you're going to like 12 better than you liked 4?
Yes.
Okay. So you're bullish. You're cautiously optimistic about college football.
No. I'm cautiously optimistic of the college football playoff.
Gotcha.
There is a separate, I love March Madness. College basketball's regular season has dissipated into not much of a regular season for most of us.
Don't tell Trent that.
Hey, there's no denying. I think that's true.
Okay.
I don't want that to happen to college football. I don't think it will. I'm hopeful that a 12-team playoff will make the season even that much more important. Miller and Moulton, Bill King in 20 minutes.
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Ride up and relax. Compete for cash prizes and more. With events like a new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer
Why
for
Molly
15
Maid?
years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Which take was the dumb one?
What's that?
I don't know. This West DRW Said it was a dumb take. Which one?
Then turn off the show, West. I mean, I've got to be honest. If we're that dumb, listen to something else.
Well,
I mean, dumb
I-
take there. What's the dumb take?
yeah. What's the dumb one? Is it the playoff? Is it Michigan? What was the dumb take? By the way, are you guys getting hit with this storm?
What storm?
The storm that's moving went through Houston last night. went through
We're supposed to get some
Mississippi.
weather today, I guess.
'Cause
Just going to be windy today. This afternoon, we're going to get some rain tonight.
what Adam says, that's what we're bracing for here in Jacksonville. Between like 1 and 3, we're supposed to get crushed with whatever this is. Tornado warnings and everything. I hope everybody fares okay today, wherever you are. Why Molly Maid? It's my question. Why?
What's the problem?
Nothing. You asked that question in the spot. Why Molly Maid? That's what I want to know. Why? Well, let me tell you. I love affordability. Moulton. Did I say Moulton out of 15? Translation. Yeah, Moulton's a little cheap. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of money. Oh, yeah. Michigan's going to definitely take 2 steps back, I think. They lose a lot off this team. Between the guys going pro and the guys who's stuck around to win this title. Oh, yeah. Plus their head coach. I got Bucks Eagles. Samuel Joel. And then I think we're going to get Baltimore in the divisional round. That's our last game. I think they're going to send us to Baltimore. But
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? And for all you Michigan and or Big Ten fans, well, here you go. Michigan fans, they'll be giddy.
Big Ten
Man.
fan, I that is such a. I'm so glad you said it the way you did for all the Michigan and Big Ten fans, because all the Michigan fans obviously are ecstatic. They won the national title. 21,000. Big Ten fan. Do you celebrate Michigan winning the Big Ten title?
You mean
Heck,
winning the
No.
national
Or
title?
the national title, I'm sorry.
So you don't really. Here's why phrased it the way I did. I understand that Big Ten fan usually doesn't root for Michigan or Ohio State. But, the Big Ten doesn't win a lot of national titles.
No, I've got you. That's why I put the text number out. I'm not
Right.
at all. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I didn't.
Right. It doesn't
Trent
resonate.
didn't.
Right. For you and Trent, you don't look at it and go, well, at least the Big Ten won. Right. No, you're anti-Michigan. And we get that because of your fandom. You're both Michigan State guys. That makes sense. I don't think an Ohio State fan went, well, at least the Big Ten won. No, they went, man, this season was a total disaster. We didn't win it, and they did. Hell, I'd rather Alabama have won. Again. No, I get that. But I'm just curious.
No, I am too.
Because we've talked for years about how the whole SEC will get behind the SEC representative in a championship. They will. At the end of the day, it's SEC. But the Big Ten doesn't win a lot of national titles. I mean, men's basketball, it's what? Michigan State in 2000?
Yeah.
I mean, football, Ohio State in 2014, Ohio State in 2002, Michigan in 97, and then, yeah. So, I'm just wondering. That's why I threw it out there. And 21,000 the text line. By the way, most shows would lead with this. We have a really good show. We got Bill King, who's been the voice of college sports in the Southeast forever. I mean, long before Paul Feinbaum, thought about doing what he's doing. Talked to Bill in about 15 minutes. David Samson will join us. Mark Zinno from Atlanta. They got regime change there. Dave Wannstedt will join us. Between the Big Ten Network and obviously his NFL ties. And Scott Jackson, who's part of the Commanders Radio Network, friend of the show. He'll join us as well. I mean, we got all the damn bases covered today. And so with that, since we got Bill King coming up in about 12 minutes, it's time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
This is how Mark wants the starting 5 to be. Short, sweet, and to the point. Michigan beat Washington 34-13. They rushed for over 300 yards. They had not one but 2 running backs rush for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns each. Hell, they might as well have been the 72 Dolphins. Corum and Edwards might as well have been Zonka and Morris or Zonka and Kick. Think about it. Michigan quarterback threw the ball about as often as Greasy did back in the day. Michigan was 1 for 11 on 3rd and 4th down and won. Penix held in check, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 255 yards passing.
Didn't have a good game, though.
No, he didn't. And he got beat up, and he rushed. His timing was off most of the day. He started rushing it. The pass rush got to him. Michigan got in his head. And so for as high as his stock was coming out of the Texas game, it'll be interesting to see what his stock is coming out of the Michigan game.
Yep.
College football inducted some people into their Hall of Fame. Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, Warwick Dunn, Julius Peppers among the 6 players elected. Frank Solich and Mark D'Antonio were 2 of the 3 coaches elected to the College Football Hall of Fame. UNLV quarterback William Maeva Pratt is going to transfer to Georgia. Talented player. Saw him against Michigan. Looked pretty good. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. He'll sit behind,
Back
for a year, and then in theory, it's his team for 2 years. We'll see. Miami got Albany's quarterback, Reese Poffenbarger. Albany led FCS football in offense this year. He led FCS football in yards and touchdowns.
I will say when he played against good competition at the end, he did not fare that well. And they missed on every other transfer portal quarterback they went after, so they had to go the FCS route. Be interesting to see how this works out for Miami.
He has 2 years of eligibility left. Gators, by the way, hiring ex-Auburn defense coordinator Ron Roberts to be their co-DC and linebackers coach. So Ron Rivera fired in Washington. Carolina fired their general manager. We have 5 head coach and 4 general managers openings throughout the NFL. Washington is already, Carolina has already, Mark, lined up 9 head coaching candidates and 8 GM candidates. The Jags fired their entire defensive staff last night. The Giants and Wink Martindale, their defensive coordinator, they eventually split. Jay Glazer called that one 6 weeks ago. The Dolphins, by the way, have now lost linebackers Andrew Van Ginkel, Jesse Baker, and Cameron Good. Yeah. I don't know if they have enough line. McDaniel at a presser yesterday said there are guys not on the team today who will play in the game against the Chiefs on Saturday. Not that they're, beset by injuries or anything. Speaking of which, Ja Morant's season's over. He hurt his shoulder working out over the weekend. He tore his labrum, his right shoulder, season-ending surgery. Heat beat the Rockets 120-113. Tyler Hero with 28. Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. He did the splits. He slipped, did the splits. His hamstring did not like that. They're checking it out. It could be anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks. But the Pacers beat the Celtics 133-131. Giannis urged the team and the organization, we got to get tougher. We got to get better. An impassioned speech the other day. Yeah, they trailed Utah at home by 31 at the half last night. That's not a good sign. Milwaukee lost to Utah by 16. And Draymond Green said that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver talked him out of retirement. I don't know if this is going to work out. He's back with the Warriors. Give it another week. He'll be ready for games.
He did re-sign with Volume, though, for his podcast.
Well, it's the post-playing career. We got to make sure we keep that lined up. College hoops, men's rankings, Purdue, Houston. Houston's unbeaten, by the way. Kansas, UConn's 4, Kentucky 6, Carolina 7, Duke 11th, FAU 24th in the AP, 25th in the coaches. Women's hoops at South Carolina, UCLA, Iowa. Baylor is unbeaten. Our friend Nikki Collins got Baylor back to being Baylor. And Florida State's 21st. Hockey, 4 games. Vancouver doubled up the Rangers 6-3. Penguins 4-1 over Philly. Dallas shut out Minnesota 4-0. And a Stanley Cup preview, the Avs in a shootout. They'll actually play a full overtime in the finals. Avs 4-3 over the Bruins. And in 6 minutes or less, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go.
That was the Cliff Notes version today.
Yep. Just get right. Well, we got too many good guests. Don't need to hear me talk. Hear me talk enough as it is.
That was good, David. Nice work.
I can see, folks, if you can listen to both Mark and Trent, you know what they're saying. They're saying, I really like that. You should do that every damn day.
That should be a poll question.
No.
Please.
It's the last thing we need.
Trent, we learned a long time ago, we don't put how we should do this show into a poll question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, David, what was it that you wanted for the like what were you referring to with the Tom Izzo thing? Did you just like the quote?
Well, just what I mean, he said a lot there. I thought.
Yes, he did.
Fan forever over how many years? I mean, how about this? During Ohtani's 10 years. Over under 2.5 World Series titles during Ohtani's 10 years. I'll go under.
Okay, so I called Bill twice, nothing. Left a message. I'll keep an eye on the phone.
Okay. He
And I'll try
retweeted
again,
it.
too.
He retweeted it. So
Okay, I'll try again.
And he's setting up a show in Nashville. He does it at the hotel.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. If you're just joining us, normally it's a starting five, but we squeezed it in last segment. Hoping to catch up with Bill King. We do it a handful of times a year. Longtime voice of college sports in the South. His show's in Tennessee, based in Nashville, but Georgia, Alabama. We love to hear from Bill. He's got a great set of pipes, too. Never mind what he has to say. David Samson will join us coming up at the top of the hour. Mark Zinno in Atlanta. Dave Wannstedt. Talk a little college and pro football with the former coach. And Scott Jackson. He's our Commanders go-to guy, has been forever, when they weren't even named the Commanders. He'll join us in a couple hours.
our guests have guests this morning.
I know. Everybody said yes yesterday. It doesn't normally happen. Hey, we have a poll question, though, up early.
We do. Where is Jim Harbaugh going to be coaching next year? And we give you 4 choices. Vegas, the Chargers, the Bears, or Michigan.
So go to that, Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com, and vote. Bill King, as we mentioned, the voice of college sports, has been for a long time in the South. His show is based out of Nashville, but it's heard throughout Tennessee, Georgia, into Alabama. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Bill is King. Bill is King. Bill, a belated Happy New Year. It's David. Mark, how are you?
Hey, guys. Always good to hear you. Good to be with you.
So what'd you think? Okay. Last night and about Michigan this year. What'd you think?
I think that the football gods put it together, and it was fitting for Michigan to go out the way they went out. They were a very physical team and won fair and square. They had a coach who had to sit out 6 games. They got a coach who's probably leaving. And I think that it just, story-wise, fit them nicely to win this way. And I think they're deserving. They are fundamentally, tell you what they are. They're modeled. They don't recruit quite the same, but they're Georgia is what they are as far as the way their roster is layered and modeled. They're a very physical, I-formation, tough guy football team. They rushed for 300 yards in the national championship game. Very deserving.
And defensively, as good as Penix was against Texas, Michigan did a hell of a job, Bill, of really putting pressure on him and taking him out of his game last night, didn't they?
Top to bottom, front to back, an incredibly well-coached Jesse Mentor, the defensive coordinator, football team. Absolutely. Penix hadn't looked, I don't think, many times this year uncomfortable, and at times looked that way. Had a couple of picks, as we saw as well. But, yeah, Michigan is a team that, other than, I don't know that they have green grass athletes like some SEC schools do from time to time. They are a very well put together football program.
Bill, we pounded the table all year. We thought that there were 7 or maybe even 8. We thought Oregon for a while was legit to win a national title. And we thought that this was an unusual year, that most year we struggled to find 4 teams in the playoff that could all win the title. We thought this was probably the deepest year of the 10 in the 14 playoff. Do you agree?
I think so. There are some years, guys, when there are maybe 2, frankly. Just because you get to the semifinals don't mean you're good enough to win it all. And, yeah, we had more teams that probably could win it all. Alabama could win it all. Georgia would have been favored by 4 to 5 points over Michigan. Georgia would have been favored over everybody in this thing. And they could win it all, for sure. And you just saw a team win it all. Washington, I don't know if Washington top to bottom is good enough to win it all. But, maybe on a given night. But, I think that's a fair assessment. I do think we had more that you could legitimately, in front of a judge, pitch the case and be right.
The odds are Jim Harbaugh is gone, that he'll go to the NFL. If that is the case, is Michigan back? Did he leave it in a good enough spot where Michigan's back?
First national championship since '97, and that year they split it with Nebraska. That was Dr. Tom's last year. I think they've been back, but as a national champion, yes. And now there's going to be a lot of roster turnover. I don't think next year they maintain. I think there's going to be a couple of notches back just because of a massive roster transition. Now they can go recruit West Coast, East Coast, down south. One of their starting linebackers is from 10 minutes from here. Knows my kids. They go everywhere to get ball players. But yes, they can maintain that. Depends on what they do. Are they going to go outside? Are they going to stay on the coaching roster? I'm not sure what the plan is. Would they go get a guy like my guy, Lance Leipold of Kansas, who would be absolutely perfect as a transition for that roster? I'm not sure, but yes, they've got a chance to maintain. But next year, I think you'll have Ohio State that just got Quinshon Judkins committed overnight, and then you'll have Washington, Oregon. They'll be ranked probably about 4th in the preseason Big Ten list.
He's Bill King, the voice of college sports. He does mornings on Nashville Sports Radio. He's also heard on a half dozen stations in Georgia, a few in Alabama as well. You can follow Bill on Twix, Twitter/X at Bill is King. All right, we had 10 years of 4 after 16 seasons of 2. Did 4 work?
Well, guys, I'm a BCS guy. I've been anti-committee before they had the first committee. When they announced we're going to have a committee, but we didn't even have it yet before the 14th season. So I'm not for any of this. But it's all about revenue, and it's only going to increase. Once you go to playoffs, the only conversation you can ever have is how many more and how much more money. How many more teams and how much more money. Did it work? I guess it did, yeah. Yeah, I think most years it picked the right 4 teams. This year was easily the most controversial. I'll give you that. And 12 will get teams in that probably don't deserve to be in. Now, they will tweak this thing. They didn't get it approved yesterday, but they will tweak it to where it's going to be a 5-7 format, not 6-6. So it'll be 5 of your top-ranked conference champions and 7 at-larges, guys, which means you're going to have a bunch of SEC and Big Ten teams in there.
Is the college football fan going to be okay with a 9-3 team ended up being the champion? I mean, we've always lived in a world where a donut was so important, Bill. Is the college football fan going to be comfortable with their team going 9-3 instead of 12-0? Because that's what it looks like we're going to.
Well, we're going to have 9-3 teams get in. We did the math a few months ago, one of our listeners, and if you just went BCS era to now, there are about 17 different cases where 3-loss teams would have gotten in a 12-team playoff. It would happen quite a bit. So it's going to happen, but that team has about a 1 in 100 chance of winning it all. There's not going to – it would have to be an 07 type weird year for a 3-loss team that got in as an 11 seed or something to go all the way through and win it all. Now, one exception, if you caught a Nick Saban team that just had by Nick's, history, a horrible regular season, but good enough to get in, that's the kind of team that could screw you up. But no, and regular 9-3 teams, we got maybe a lottery ticket shot at winning several games to win it all.
Do you think the ACC is blowing up next? Or do you think they're going to be able to keep it together no matter how the Florida State saga ends?
It's not going to implode like the Pac-12, but it will be reduced to a G5 level league. They've got a TV deal. Now, again, we just found out a couple of weeks back something nobody knew, and there's an opt-out for ESPN in 27, so it doesn't have to go all the way to 36. But they will always have a TV deal. I would estimate it just won't be as attractive. They'll lose Florida State. They'll lose Clemson. They'll lose North Carolina. They'll lose Miami. You get reduced, and there's nowhere to go expand that's attractive to fill those schools, to backfill for those schools. But I don't think they implode completely like the West Coast.
Where does Florida State end up in your estimation, Bill?
I think right now it would be the Big Ten, but the only problem is the SEC is playing coy, and they're acting as if, now they're not saying this publicly, but word is, wink, wink, that they would not be, the SEC would not necessarily want Florida State, but I think they would probably change their mind, or know that they would change their mind. If you know the Big Ten is now going to plant a flag in the South and plant a flag in Tallahassee, Florida, I think you change your mind there. I don't think it's clear where they end up. If you ask me right now, I would say they're welcome in the Big Ten, for sure. I don't know if the SEC is going to allow that, would be my addendum to that.
Bill King, longtime voice of college sports throughout the South. He does mornings on Nashville Sports Radio. He's heard throughout Georgia into Alabama. You can follow him on Twix at Bill is King. Bill is King. Bill, thanks for making time for us before our show. Be well. All the best to you and your family.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bill King, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
He could read the phone book and I'd be interested. I've told the story a million times. When I moved to Nashville, he was the guy. And so I wanted to hear what the guy in Nashville was about. And I wasn't nearly the college football fan that I am now. And I'm listening to him do shows in February, and it's all recruiting. And I mean, he knows everybody in the country, where they're going, who their top 5 are. And I'm just baffled by it. But he's been doing it a long time. Very, very good at what he does.
Yes, he is. And he loves the college sports scene. Absolutely loves it. All right. And I would disagree. There's a Michigan fan in our Twitch chat room who's, he's a little ornery at us today. And he says, Bill doesn't know anything about Michigan. No, I disagree. I mean, he just said, hell, one of the linebackers on the team knows his kids. I mean, so no, Bill loves the college sports scene, pays attention to recruiting year-round. Notice he, mentioned prominently a nice addition to Ohio State last night. No, he pays attention. He has no interest in these games that are taking place this Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Bill has no interest in that.
Won't watch a play.
No, he will not. He will cook his brisket, and he will take pictures of it and post it on Twix, and he will continue to talk about recruiting and the transfer portal. And we love him for it. Bill King, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. So, hail to the victors. 26 years in the making. It's really good for college football that Michigan just won the national title. It really is. I know a lot of people right now are going, blank you. Yeah, man. Michigan looks good on TV. They play the song. It sounds good. And when they play the style they played last night, Mark, I swear, I'm like, this is 1977 all over again. Okay, just a little better athlete. This is phenomenal. I was digging it. I got to admit, and not just because I picked him. I was watching it, going, man. All right, Bo's elbowing Woody, going, look at this. Look at these guys.
303 yards rushing. Wow.
Yep. 200 in the first half.
Right. They were pretty close to perfect in that first half.
Especially the first quarter. So, but
when you're averaging 20 yards a carry in the first quarter, things are going well.
And things are going to go down from there. It is true. Hats off to Washington for hanging around, but they could never get the passing game untracked. When it was 20-13, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, did you think they were going to tie this sucker up? Or did you think, Michigan's got this?
I thought Michigan had it. I was hopeful that Washington could put a drive together, but I hadn't seen anything out of Penix that led me to believe that they could win the game. Wanted to see it tied up to see what Michigan would do in another tough situation, to see them play with a little bit of pressure, but it never happened.
So hats off to Michigan, the national champs. And even though Miller and Moulton were tough on Michigan and the stories throughout the year, we don't put, an asterisk or anything next to it, okay? And we don't think history will either. And we think Harbaugh's on to the NFL. David Samson's next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Got a couple of really bitter people in the chat room today. One on Facebook and one on Twitch. But knock yourselves out.
What are they bitter about?
Well, they didn't like our guest. Johnny O doesn't like the order that we're doing our show. And I got to be honest, I'm getting Johnny O. I don't know. You come in every morning and you chat a lot. You obviously like our show because you listen, but you complain nonstop. I don't get it.
Well, we got to do what we got to do as well. We'd rather pack the show with guests, so therefore David had to just slide the starting 5 up one day.
Do the best we can. If you like it, great. And if you don't, well,
right.
Did the best we could.
Good morning, David.
Good morning. How are you?
Excellent. How about yourself?
Good. Trying to figure out this new setup they gave me. Oh, I think that's going to do it. Can you see me?
Yes.
Fantastic.
So we do a little thing at the end of the show that I do, a good, bad, and ugly, just stories from around nothing about sports. The good yesterday was a guy that ran 242 marathons, freestyle marathons in a year. 242. Right.
Okay.
I just thought you were the guy, he ran them on 6 continents, did similar to you, but I'm like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, that's more than I could ever do.
I don't know how the human body could do it.
What was the bad and the ugly?
Oh, just some random trivial, I searched the web for.
That was the end of your whole story.
That was the end of it. Just I thought of you with the marathons and the guy running 242 marathons. It made us think of you.
Makes me feel lazy.
Imagine how it made Miller and Moulton feel.
It is about 40 to 50 feet to my fridge. It is.
And if you do that 1,000 times a day, you got yourself a marathon.
I was going to say, we've got, like a dozen commercial breaks. I mean, I get a good, end back. So that's I get a good 1,000 feet of walking in during this show.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
When
you were doing what you were doing before, we couldn't. Now we can hear you.
They got me a mute button. I guess it works.
It worked.
Fantastic.
Yes. Your lips were moving, and I went, oh, boy.
Perfect.
Here we go.
It's a wonderful thing, the mute button on a home studio. I've got one on my mic. It's a beautiful thing.
Critical. Thanks for the envelope, David.
Yeah, sure. Anything new with the show?
Here we go, by the way. Sorry.
No. You know what? Hold that thought.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 on a Tuesday means David Samson. He of the, wait for it, Nothing Personal with David Samson daily podcast, which he records live 1 hour from now. You can also see him on CBS Sports HQ. Follow him on Twix at David, the letter P, Sampson, David P. Sampson. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Top of the morning. It is a Tuesday up here in New York. There's big storms coming. People are freaking out, and I'm laughing about the storms I used to live through in South Florida. This is like a little rainstorm coming, but people are at DEFCON 1,000.
There's a storm coming through the southeast as well, the northern part of Florida. That's got a few people worried as well today. So, hey, you yesterday were talking about being an executive and having the end of the season meetings. Question: did you ever have one of those meetings where a manager you in the back of your mind are like, yeah, we're getting rid of this guy, and the manager talked you out of it, or the other way around, in which you're like, we'll give it one more year, and you do your end of the year meeting, and then you go, yeah, we ain't going to do one more year?
No, never went into a meeting without knowing what was going to happen. And certainly if you're talking about the funny thing that happened, when someone loses a job, it's not necessarily funny, but the Ron Rivera meeting with Josh Harris yesterday morning at 8 a.m., you know that Josh Harris knew exactly what he was doing because the statement was released immediately upon the meeting, which means it had been written, prepared, and ready to have the send button pressed as soon as Rivera, left his key card. So I think that owners have a very good understanding of what they want to do. When you go through during the season, that's when there's an opportunity for in-season firings. There's a chance for a change of mind. When an owner gets emotional about a play or a game or where they are in the standings, there's opportunity for the GM or the coach to convince an owner, listen, I think we shouldn't make a change. I think I want to stay. Let me stay. And there's opportunities for the owner to talk to a coach after a game during a season and walk out and say, holy crikeys, I want to get rid of this guy. I cannot believe what I just heard. But off-season meetings, that never happens.
What do you think about what the Commanders did in going to the basketball world? And, they Spielman, the football guy, but hiring a basketball guy and putting this little group together to hire their next football staff. What are your thoughts on that?
It's better than hiring a search firm to do something because these guys are in sports. They know sports personalities. There was a baseball executive named Paul DePodesta, famously played by Jonah Hill in Moneyball, and he went from baseball to football. There's a executive who ran the Dolphins who came from the Padres. His name is Tom Garfinkel. There's an executive who ran the Dolphins who went to the Padres, a guy named Mike D. People do switch between sports. It's pretty common. I think that if you were asking Bob Myers to evaluate football players, I'm not sure that I would co-sign to that because that's like saying a baseball scout can go scout a football player or a basketball player, and they cannot. But when it comes to identifying executives and identifying people who are leaders of men and leaders of clubhouses, I think that Bob Myers has as good a chance as anybody else to identify someone positive for the Commanders.
Do you think you can interview someone a couple times and know whether or not they're a leader of men?
I've interviewed thousands of people for employees. Literally, that's a literal number to be employees for, on-field positions, off-field positions, prior careers now. And we all say that we're good interviewers and we ask the right questions. But at the end of the day, it's like signing an extension for a player when you first trade for him. It's a bad idea. You don't know somebody till you live with them. So you can make assumptions about people. You can speak to people who know the person you're interviewing, who can talk to you about what that person is like as an employee or as a player. But until you're in that clubhouse every day, or until you're in the trenches every day with a coworker, it's really hard to make that evaluation. So I do not believe it is possible. You can find out about a person, but even then, man, I've convinced a few people during interviews in my time that I am who I'm not. So it's if you're good, you can get past the interview process, but you can't hide once you have the job.
Who's the best hire you ever made?
The best hire I ever made that you all would know is someone named Michael Hill. Hired him as an assistant when he was in Colorado. He had been with Tampa. He came over an assistant GM, worked his way up to president of baseball operations, and now runs on-field operations. He would be one. Dan Halem is the deputy commissioner of baseball and the number 2 guy in all of Major League Baseball. And I hired him as an associate to be an arbitration lawyer for us when his career was just beginning. So I would point to those 2 probably as my best, but boy, I've had some bad ones too.
He's David Samson. The podcast, which he records at 8 a.m. every weekday morning, is Nothing Personal with David Samson. You can also see him as part of CBS Sports Family on CBS Sports HQ, and follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at David the letter P Samson, David P Samson. Do you think baseball at their next opportunity is going to get rid of the deferred money contracts? This is not new, and I know the Bobby Bonilla contract's famous. The contract that we don't talk about enough, Bruce Sutter signed a deal with the Braves in the 80s. It was supposed to be a $9 million contract, but like 4.8 of it got deferred at 13% interest. He made $50 million on a $9 million contract. So we've been doing this for 40 years, but the Dodgers now are deferring like $1 billion, though. Do you think this is going to force baseball to go, yeah, we got to change this?
Well, of course, the reason people don't talk about Bruce Sutter is that 86% of your audience has no idea who that is.
Oh, come on now.
No matter your demographics, I know who Bruce Sutter is. He's a Hall of Famer.
A Hall of Famer.
Sake. But I would just say that people certainly talk about Bonilla more, and that's an example where he was paid 8% interest, but the Wilpons took his money and were making more than 8%. Unfortunately, most of it was with Madoff, but at the end of the day, that was why they did that business deal. Here's the thing about deferred money. I'd like to get rid of all deferred money because it's an advantage to larger market teams. The problem is the union loves it. And the reason the union loves it is the union doesn't mind players being creditors of teams because they view that team entities will never go bankrupt. And when you're a receiver of deferred comp, you really become a creditor of the company that's giving you that comp. But the Dodgers aren't going bankrupt as an entity. So that means that Ohtani's going to get his money. So the rule was put into place that you have to actually fund all your deferred comp when it should be paid. So what's the advantage? So the Dodgers in 2 years have to take $68 million and put it in one account, take $2 million and give it to Ohtani. So the players union said that keeps deferred comp in, will allow for that segregated accounting issue. The commissioner says, well, that'll stop people from doing deferred comp because you have to come up with the money anyway. But the hole in the system is that all you have to do to satisfy the collective bargaining agreement for funding your deferred comp is show the existence of that money in an account on a particular day. So you transfer money into the account, whether you have to borrow it or move it from another account. You show the union and the commissioner you have it, and the next day you move it out and put it back to work with whatever other investments you're doing. Not all owners can do that. Therefore, deferred comp truly is only for certain teams and certain owners, and that's the problem. But it's not going to go anywhere because the union doesn't want it to, and the owners will not fight to get rid of it.
And that's where it would come to, is that the small market owners would have to fight to get rid of this. And is it just not the fight they want right now, David?
There's no trade that makes sense. When you're negotiating a CBA and you want something, you have to trade something to get it. It's funny. I don't know if people realize a CBA negotiation is a lot like a fight amongst spouses, where you have to compromise some places. But if you give something, normally you want to get something in return. I'm happy to go see your parents, but on the other hand, can I sit and watch football 2 weeks from yesterday? So you go through and make these type of trades. That's what CBA negotiating is. And at some point, you're not willing. I'm not going to go away for a weekend with your sister if you're only giving me 2 days of football. I'm going to want a week away with my guy friends. So you decide what means something to you in these trades. And the deferred comp issue is just not meaningful enough on the owner's side to give what the union would want in order for them to give that up.
How much is a guy's weekend worth, David?
Different for everybody. That's why the commissioner spends so much time, so many years canvassing all 30 teams to see what a guy's weekend is worth. They literally go through and they keep a list. So there's a list of issues. And you tell the commissioner, I will fight to the death on that. I really want that. That would be nice. That really doesn't impact me. I don't care so much. That I don't care about at all. So all of these issues get ranked by all these teams, And then the commissioner's office sort of keeps track of which issues where there can be, quote unquote, 8 votes, which is a block vote for a certain issue.
Who compromises more, the commissioner, a big market owner, or a spouse?
Oh God, I guess it depends on the relationship and what number, marriage.
Come on, I'm having a little fun with you
so
here.
Let me tell you about my relationship. I lost every battle and then decided one day it was time to win the war.
I can relate.
We all know how that works out.
I think you all do. Listen, it's something that we do in our everyday lives. We do it in business. We do it with our personal lives. We do it all the time. We're negotiating. That's one of the things about Nothing Personal, where I talk about negotiations and how they go. People are surprised. They think that what we do in baseball or in sports is something that they don't do. And I tell them that you're doing it every day also. So sometimes I ask students when I give speeches or teach classes, hey, make a list of all the things you negotiated today. You will be shocked at the end of the day, like where you're going to dinner. For example, you negotiate that. Do you want to go to this restaurant? No, I'd rather go to that restaurant. Or what do you want to have for dinner? Or which way you want to walk to a certain place. You're always negotiating with someone you're with. And sometimes it's even with yourself.
David Samson, Nothing Personal with David Samson is his daily podcast, Monday through Friday, that he records at 8 a.m. live every weekday. You can follow him on Twitter/X at David, the letter P, Samson, David P. Samson.
When we negotiate, I lose every time, by the way, you and I.
Well, that's true. That's because you keep coming up with these big numbers and we're times 0. Okay, so it always ends up being 0.
It's really amazing, actually.
Yes, it is. And we're very appreciative of it, David.
Thank you, David.
See you later.
David Samson joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. I don't think we'd win a negotiation with him.
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Ride up and relax. Compete for cash prizes and more. With events like a new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hey y'all, it's Ben Allen. When it comes to singing and performing live shows, I'm in my comfort zone. When it comes to wanting to surprise my wife with diamonds, I'm a bit lost. That's why I go see my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. Jason and Todd helped me blow my wife away when we got engaged, and I've been applauding them ever since. If you're in the market for diamonds this holiday season, Southwest Florida has been giving Jason and Todd a standing ovation for over 20 years. Go see them and let Jason and Todd know that Ben Allen sent you.
Thanks, Ben. We're proud of you and your accomplishments and thrilled that you are part of our Diamond District family.
This holiday season, visit Jason and me at the Diamond District. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Nice.
I clean my ears with Q-tips, even though you're not supposed to do that, because it like pushes the.
I use Q-tips every day.
I do too. Every shower, that's what I do. And I went way too
far,
too aggressive last night, and it still hurts.
Wow,
I'm struggling over here.
Wow.
Exactly, E.B. Hill. Exactly. I mean, how much is a guy's weekend worth?
I feel like the older you get, the more the the more the value drives up.
You know what the good thing is? Usually, the older you get, like once a relationship gets to a certain point, okay, usually it's kind of like, yeah, we're going to go the distance. Okay. And then you get to a certain point at which you just, at least most guys I know, we would just, yes, we just say yes constantly. Okay. Because if we say yes 200 times, then we get the 4 things we really want. So we'll say yes to all the little stuff.
Well, that's key. Yes, dear. People don't understand the importance of the word dear. Yes means you don't care. You're doing what David said. You're just saying yes 20 times so that you get your 2 yeses.
Right.
Yes, dear implies that not only is she right, but you care.
You care. And we're going to do it the right way.
Boy, it depends on how you say dear, though. You say it a certain way, and it comes off patronizing.
That's a Miller and Moulton problem.
Well, yes.
We're not exclusive to that problem, but it is more apparent with us. Yes, dear.
Exactly. You start going down that tone road, and you're screwed.
If anyone was an expert in tone, it would be Miller and Moulton. You guys,
yes,
you guys have said everything in every way, and you know how it's going to come off.
Well, only because of how much it has cost the 2 of us over our lives. Oh, no. We're not joking about this.
I know. That's why
no. Personally and professionally, our tone has hurt us.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, but you guys are unapologetic. That's what makes you great.
For the most part. Professionally, we are.
As I've gotten older, I'm very apologetic for it. There are plenty of words and things I would love to take back, but you can't.
I'm not apologetic at all. I just have stopped making the mistakes that I made in the first 20 years of my adulthood. In the last 15 years, I've made a lot fewer mistakes. First 20 years, though, man, I was majoring in mistakes. Man, I was good at it.
So last night, as I was watching Michigan pretty much dominate, I decided to make a list of the teams that I hate and try to do it in order. You know what I mean? And see if I can break down kind of like which Michigan is number 1. It's not even close.
Well,
which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but
this is how we did it with Mark. Okay,
yeah.
Mark had 2 that he thought were tied. Okay?
Notre Dame and Michigan.
Yes, and we did a live show just outside the Alabama-Notre Dame title game, and then we had credentials, and we were in the auxiliary press area, which was in the 1 end zone at the very top, and we made our way to our seat. We were down on the field for like an hour and a half before the game, and then we made our way for the start of the game, and Mark's, 5 minutes into the game. And we're not talking to each other. We did a show together. We've just spent hours together eating on the field. We're just sitting, watching. And Mark, unprompted, just says, I hate these guys the most.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. We've already had 2 guests. Not even an hour and a half into the show. What in the world's gotten into us today? If you missed any part of the show, like Bill King in our first hour, David Samson last segment, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll go to Atlanta in about 15 minutes. Just check in on the regime change, at least the coaching change with the Falcons. Dave Wannstedt will join us at the top of the hour. All sorts of stuff we can talk. Works for the Big Ten Network, based out of Chicago and Southwest Florida. The teams he's coached in the NFL and college. And we'll talk a little Commanders. And where do we think they go from here? Scott Jackson, who's part of their radio network and longtime friend of the show, will join us a little more than an hour.
We've got a poll question up.
We do. It's unbelievable. We have 19 guests and a poll question up at the beginning of the show. Whose show is this?
And it's a very simple question. Where will Jim Harbaugh be coaching next year? You have 4 choices. The Raiders, the Chargers, the Bears, or Michigan. Right now, the Chargers getting 43% of the vote. Michigan getting 29% of the vote.
Ooh, I like the optimism. I wonder if that's all Wolverines fans that are going, oh, come on, stay.
I think it's college football fan. He belongs in college, and I know he's leaving, and it sucks.
I know.
It really does. I love him at Michigan. I want him there for the rest of his coaching career. It's better for college football.
It's so interesting because it seems like such a foregone conclusion that he's going to the NFL, right? But Mark, to your point, and you're 100% right, he was great at San Diego State. He was great at Stanford, and he's now a national champion at Michigan. He belongs in college for sure. But he also this is a product of his own doing, right? All the allegations, all the missteps, whatever you want to call them. That's kind of what, unfortunately, is pushing him out.
I don't know if it is. I think it's also he's got an itch to win a Super Bowl. I mean, he was a finalist with Sean Payton for the Denver job a year ago. He was a finalist for the Vikings job, interviewed twice for it 2 years ago. So, I mean, he's had this itch.
But don't you think if it weren't for all the baggage that he'd want to at least defend this title and try to go back and win another one?
No, he wants a Super Bowl. To what David said, come on. This is something David and I have more trouble relating with than we think you would. You have an older brother.
Yep. Oh, yeah, he's got a Super Bowl, John Harbaugh.
His older brother has a Super Bowl ring.
At his expense.
Thank you.
Well, and also, I'll say this. It'd be a lot worse if it was your little brother that had the Super Bowl and you didn't. But, that's But I guess
David and I don't have that dynamic, but you right there just gave into it.
Yeah.
It'd be worse if it was my little brother. But if it was your brother holding something over to you, I can tell by the smirk on your face, there are things that your brothers hold over you if they have something over you.
100%. That is a great point. I just think I would argue that his value, his stock to become an NFL head coach isn't going to get any lower if he comes back to Michigan and gives it one more run.
Well, but the problem is he's now 60. I believe isn't Jim Harbaugh 60?
Looks good for 60.
Yeah,
he is.
Does. But I think Jim Harbaugh's 60. You know, I mean, granted, Sean Payton got the Denver job, and I think he got it at 61. All right. But, I mean, we all know the ageism that goes on here. Okay. They're into hiring the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVays of the world. How old's Harbaugh?
He's 60.
Yeah.
Just turned.
So now also, I think, I don't want to say it's fortunate because he earned this championship and built this team. All right. But now is the perfect time. I mean, this truly is if you're going to go, you go now. You won the title. You will get a statue on campus. They will name a building after you at some point. The Michigan faithful, if he were to go to the NFL, will give him a standing ovation while being a little sad he's leaving, but they will give him a rousing ovation for him leaving at this point in time.
And look, all schools claim all titles, but there's a difference between a shared title and winning the national title. There's no doubt.
Now, I will say Michigan got jobbed a little bit Michigan was number 1. They went into the Rose Bowl. They won. Word got out it was going to be Tom Osborne's last game. Nebraska was number 2. They won the Orange Bowl. And I think it was the coaches, because I think AP voted Michigan won, and the coaches slid one to Tom. Go, here you go. Here's a present on your way out. Okay, so that title going into the January 1 bowl games, we thought if Michigan won, they were going to be the champion. And after the January 1st bowl games, they just kind of slid. There you go. We'll split it. Michigan gets theirs. They're not
But there's no splitting last nights.
No.
And they dominated. The game was not as close as the score showed. That is sometimes a cliche that gets overused in sports, but that was the case last night.
But they won it. They won it the Michigan way too. I mean, everything about them. I mean, they pounded the rock, 303 yards rushing. That's.
I'll tell you what, though, if I would like to have seen that game play out without the holding call. Okay, because you're right, Michigan was in control of the game, but that was a 40-yard completion. Washington would have been on the 30. Because what I would have been curious about, not to get too nook and cranny, if Washington tied it, how was Michigan going to call plays? Were they going to put the ball in J.J. McCarthy's hand? Because they were afraid to death of putting the ball in J.J. McCarthy for 3 hours. So I was just curious, if Washington could tie it, how would Michigan call plays?
Were they afraid, or did they just not have to?
I think it's both. Like, they didn't have to. You didn't have to hold their feet to the fire. They didn't have to do it at any point, but they also definitely did not want to.
Before we go to the play of day, Larry, Twitch chat room, is a diehard Michigan fan. He won the title. Thank you, Jim, and good luck in the NFL, with exclamation points everywhere.
Still haven't had a Big Ten fan text the show saying they were rooting for Michigan yet. I'm just saying.
And you won't get one.
We had a Minnesota fan say congratulations for the Big Ten, but not Michigan. I mean, that's splitting hairs. I'm just 21,000's a text line. Time now for our Molly Made play of the day. Trent, what do you have for us?
We go to the NBA. I'm kidding. I'm joking. My least favorite team in all of sports.
He got Mark. You should see Mark. Mark literally fell out of his chair. He's like, "Why? Who'd we hire?"
I really like Trent. I didn't know I had to fire him right then.
Man. My least favorite team in all of sports won a natty last night. The Wolverines dominated. I do have a couple great friends from my childhood who I grew up with who worked their butts off to go to U of M, and that's how I justify rolling this play here that all but sealed the deal for the Wolverines.
Penix looks the other direction, down the seam. That's intercepted by Sanders-Still. Mikey Sanders-Still has a couple of blockers. A convoy. Michigan set up inside the 10. Mikey Sanders-Still. Biggest play of this defense tonight.
Had to cut off the fight song there at the end. Sanders-Still with a near pick six. It set up Blake Corum's second touchdown of the game, and the Wolverines send Jim Harbaugh out a winner.
Well, we don't know if they're sending him out a
Well,
winner.
I'm manifesting this.
Gotcha. I have to admit, I love Hail to the Victors, and I grew up a Notre Dame fan. I just love it.
Oh,
there's certain iconic fight songs. I just think it's awesome.
If you want to clean up that mess that Trent just did, call Molly Made today, 239-774-5839. Tell him Jim Harbaugh sent you.
Miller and Moulton. We head to Atlanta. Mark Zinno will join us next. Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Molly Made. Why Molly Made, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymade.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymade.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, why don't you at least write yourself a check for what you did out of that account?
Well, okay, I will. It was it to a specific restaurant. It was not a lot of money, but sure. When we, once a year, we usually go into our account and we each like grab. Yeah, I'll grab a little extra. It's not a problem. I just felt like,
No, I think it's
just
a wonderful gesture, David. Not wonderful.
on our behalf. It had my address on the top left corner. That's probably why he said David, but it was on our behalf.
No, I just reimburse yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, I will. I will. I'm not.
I mean, there might be like $18, $20 in that account.
Exactly. I just, we're going to get like $1.38 interest plus our Twitch payment.
Steve Spurrier, Mark, would be the answer to that question off the top of my head.
Mark is on. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Dave Wannstedt will join us at the top of the hour. Scott Jackson, an hour from now, we'll check in on what are the Commanders going to do from here. But Mark Zinno is kind enough to join us, and a very talented, versatile, diversified professional. He's got the whole sports betting thing with Wager Talk, Sports Grid, VSiN, okay, does the sports radio thing with 92.9 The Game and ESPN Radio nationally. Mark, we've never talked in depth, though, about the side of you before you got into radio, which is being an Army colonel. Okay. And you've had this podcast now for 6 years, Hazard Ground. This is probably the best thing you do, isn't it?
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for saying that. Hazard Ground is actually coming up on its 7-year anniversary here next week. Just telling tales of combat and survival from a first-person account, and got a chance to interview somebody from every U.S. military engagement since World War II, including the second oldest living survivor of Pearl Harbor, multiple Medal of Honor recipients, veterans who have went on to be elected politicians, authors, movie stars, directors, writers, every walk of life you can imagine, just to share their stories. So it's been a real passion project. It's been an incredible run, and certainly glad that people enjoy it.
Just want everybody to know, if they didn't, who we're talking to. Mark Zinno, Hazard Ground is that podcast. And then we do the frivolous stuff, the sports betting, the sports talk, which is what Miller and Moulton are here for. And that's what we're going to talk about now.
And the Falcons now, a new regime. When did you think it was time for Arthur Smith to be gone, or was it just a matter of the final game?
Well, I'm in the minority. I didn't think he should have been fired at all.
Okay.
I think this is a terrible mistake. I don't think that Arthur Smith is a bad coach. I think we've seen this year across the league, as when you looked at Week 18, that half the league was starting quarterbacks that are not going to have a job come Week 1 next year. Like, there's a playoff team starting a guy who's not going to have a job Week 1 next year. That's the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco's not getting a starting job anywhere after this run is over. This is the last hurrah. So the Falcons missed on the quarterback, and clearly it was the biggest miss that put them in this situation. It's not a question of – if you watch that game on Sunday, Desmond Ridder couldn't complete a 5-yard out route to a wide-open running back in the end zone. Like, that's not a coaching issue. That's a quarterback issue. Now, if you want to have a philosophical discussion, guys, on, why they chose the quarterback they did and should he be held accountable for that, sure, I think that's completely a fair option, and I think that's absolutely something that you can have. But if that's the case, from it being a fireable offense, then I would argue that the GM and the owner also have some culpability there. So, yeah, I don't think he should have been fired. That said, I understand why the Falcons did it. The fan base wanted his head on a platter, and they were done. And when you look at 3 years in a row of 7-10, it's almost like Arthur Smith got fired and got punished for overachieving the first 2 years of a roster that was in salary cap hell in his first year, and managed to win 7 games with a bad roster and an aging quarterback. And then in year 2, won 7 games with Marcus Mariota at quarterback, and what a debacle that was. And then finally, when he had the guy that they had drafted, who they thought might work out, well, turns out he didn't, and they only won 7 games again. The owner said, that's not progress. We need to move on.
If you put a healthy Kirk Cousins on this roster, how many wins do you see?
11, 12, easily. And they win the division in a walk. And that's the other thing, guys. Like, and I don't like this, what fans do and what some of the media does. Oh, well, the division was so weak. It was so winnable. Yeah, like, if you enter a race with your car and you drive whatever you drive, guess what? Because all the other cars happen to be slower, that doesn't make your car faster, right? The Falcons were never anything better than at best a 9-win team. It's what we all said, maybe 10 wins. It's what we all said in August. Nobody thought any more than that. And the fact that they only won 7, and in reality, had their quarterback been able to hold on to the damn football, they easily win 10 with Desmond Ridder at quarterback. Like, don't move the goalposts like that. Just because the other teams in the division ended up being bad doesn't make you better. The optics don't change what you were. So that's the other part of this that people look at and go, oh, the division was so winnable. Yeah, you're not wrong in saying that it was, but that didn't make the Falcons a better team.
All right. What's the priority for the Falcons? Because it seems as if, we've watched Kyle Pitts for a couple of years not do much. Robinson had a year. Where do they go now to try to get what these talented players on offense that should be producing to produce?
All right. So can I just, you said Robinson had in pause, it said a year, like it was average. I think he had the 12th most touches and the 12th most yards of anybody in the NFL that wasn't a quarterback. For a rookie, that's pretty damn good. Like, there's this narrative out there like he didn't get the ball because fantasy nerds have taken over everything and because he doesn't score enough touchdowns for you guys. Like, he wasn't, like, it's just a false narrative that's out there. Bijan was the second most used rookie of anybody in the league other than Jahmyr Gibbs, who only led once because Dave Montgomery missed 3 or 4 games. So like, that narrative is out there and it's not reality that Bijan wasn't used enough. Do you want to have an argument about or a discussion? Should he have been used more in the red zone? Should he have been used differently? I think that's fair. But to say that he wasn't used is just not reality, right? Like he just had a year. No, he had an excellent year. And this, guys, I'm not even a Falcons fan. Like I grew up in New York. I'm a Giants fan. So like this isn't me being a homer for this team. I'm just speaking the reality and the facts. And I will say this much. For somebody who vociferously did not want Arthur Smith fired and who has been taking it in the teeth the last 2 days on social media for wanting Arthur Smith around here, I will say this much. It does not matter who you hire as the head coach if you don't fix the quarterback position. Arthur Blank and Rich McKay, his understudy, which to this point has proven to be a failing operation, especially when it comes to picking coaches. The only of the 5 coaches they've hired, 3 of them have failed the last 4 years. The only 2 that did, Mike Smith and Dan Quinn, had one thing in common. They had Matt Ryan at quarterback. So let's fix the quarterback position first and then worry about who your coach is going to be. Because at the end of the day, guess what? You know what Bill Belichick looked like when he had Mac Jones at quarterback? Pretty damn pedestrian, right? Like I'm not saying they only won Super Bowls because of Tom Brady. What I'm saying here is that if you don't have Tom Brady, you're not a perennial playoff team every year. If you don't have Peyton Manning, you're not a perennial playoff team every year. Go back to the Ravens. Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson. Guess what happens? You make the playoffs every year. Like the Steelers are the outlier this year and something we've never seen. That's a bad football team from top to bottom. Their defense isn't great. Their offense stinks. They've been outgained, I think, in 13 of 17 games this year. How they made the playoffs is one of the stranger things I'll ever see. But the bottom line here is that if you don't get consistent quarterback play, guess what? You're not going to be any good. So it doesn't matter. Do we think DeMeco Ryans all of a sudden is this excellent head coach in his first year? No. They drafted a quarterback who could ball. C.J. Stroud can play. So guess what? You're always going to be in football games and you're going to win more than you lose because you have high-level quarterback play. Do you think Carolina Panthers had a coaching problem? No, they had a quarterback problem.
Is Justin Fields enough of
and worry about who your coach is?
Is Justin Fields enough of a quarterback upgrade or no?
Well, I mean, it's going to be really telling to find out who's in charge. Like, Terry Fontenot was the GM here when they had a chance to draft him that they didn't. So if you didn't ask her to prom, why would you ask her to marry you? Right? Like, that's a weird pivot to go back to Justin Fields. Now, I would contend, guys, that guess what? Terry Fontenot's not really in charge. Because if that Falcons press conference told us anything, and that press release that they put out about who's picking the next coach, is that Terry Fontenot is the most neutered GM in all of professional football. And he has no real power to pick anybody. If a GM doesn't have the authority to hire and fire and make decisions like that, then he's nothing more than a glorified scout and personnel director. And that's really the case for Terry Fontenot. Terry Fontenot is not picking the groceries to make the meal. I mean, sure, he has input on it, but at the end of the day, Rich McKay is the GM of this team. I think that was the other takeaway that I took from yesterday's press conference. So if let's say they bring in, I don't think Bill Belichick is coming to Atlanta. I don't think Jim Harbaugh is coming to Atlanta. But let's just say, for argument's sake, they get one of those guys. Don't you think those two guys are absolutely going to choose their own quarterback? So if they want Justin Fields, they're going to go get Justin Fields. I don't think it matters what Terry Fontenot thinks or wants because he's not really in charge. So I think a lot of it depends on who is the guy. I wouldn't go the route of Justin Fields. I would probably look at Kirk Cousins, maybe Russell Wilson, depending on who the coach is. I think it matters with that. Or just go out and draft somebody. And I think if you get a veteran guy, they're going to want a veteran quarterback, like a veteran coach. They're going to want a veteran quarterback. I think all these young names that are out there, they'll probably go out and draft one then.
Will be interesting if they go get a veteran coach because this regime has been hiring young coordinators and promoting them. So it will be interesting if they actually hire somebody who has previous experience. He's Mark Zinno. He does the whole sports betting thing, Wager Talk Sports Grid VSiN, does the Sports Talk Radio thing, 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, also does some work for ESPN Radio nationally. But his veteran, if you will, his armed services podcast is Hazard Ground. You can follow Mark on Twix, Twitter/X at Mark Zinno, Zinno. Mark, as always, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on all your success, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Mark Zinno, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. I don't think we got him riled up, okay, because we've had him on in the past, and he's always a little riled up.
I got him riled up. He didn't like my Bijan Robinson comment, and that's fine.
Well, yeah, he disagreed with it, but I mean, you and I disagree on things all the time. It's part of being a sports talk show host. You just hear something, you go, I don't know about that. But he was answering those questions. I'm thinking to myself, man, if he gets in line for a Starbucks, the person on the other end is in for it for about 20 seconds. Yeah, I want a venti. Caramel macchiato?
What?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I mean, it was really close to something, or you named an Italian actor. I'm not sure exactly.
I thought I ordered one of those for my wife, right? Because I don't drink coffee, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I thought there's a caramel macchiato venti. But you're right. It does sound like an Italian actor who won the Academy Award, and he's up there giving a speech, and he sounds great. We don't understand a word he's saying. Right. But
now I just want something with some caramel.
By the way, Mark and I can bond, and I don't mean Mark Miller, I mean Mark Zinno. We can bond over our dislike of Rich McKay. Golly, ruining everything he touches. He's got
a lot of power in the league too.
God, he does. He's Mr. Competition Committee.
Right.
He blocks all the stuff that we want changed. Yep. He's the one when the coaches leave the room and go out to play golf that passes all the stuff, him and Bill Polian, that they want passed. Blocks all the stuff that we fans want to see changed. Golly. And he's always been running the Falcons since he left the Bucks. Just other guys thought they were. Rich had the ear of the owner.
And it'll be interesting to see who they hire. And as Mark Zinno says, they're going to need a quarterback.
Do you guys agree with his point that with better quarterback play, they win 12 games at least?
Well, with Kirk Cousins, and the reason that we keep mentioning Cousins is he's an unrestricted free agent. I mean, he has once again said, by the way, he just said to the Vikings, I will give you a discount. He's never given anyone a discount. That's how much he wants to stay in Minneapolis. All right. If I'm the Falcons and a half dozen other teams, I come way off the top rope. I go, hey, the blank with the discount, we're offering you $45 million, 3 years. Fully guaranteed. Let's go.
Where would you rather be if you're – I mean, I know there's familiarity in Minnesota, and you got a great receiver there. But to come to Atlanta with that potential in that division –
a wide receiver, a tight end, and a running back in a dome and in that division, yeah, you're going to win.
He would. If he slept on it, he would do that. Totally. It's just a matter of if we end up getting to that point, if the Falcons do want to pony up and do that. Starts with the coach hire.
I would do it. First minute of free agency. Remember back in the day, free agency started at midnight. People would be on people's doorsteps at 12:01 knocking. Hey, Dana Stubblefield, here's $100 million. Will you sign with us? Miller and Moulton.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Brian Curtis of The Ringer. Not sure we're prepared for the Michigan alums on journalism Twitter today. Pray for our country.
Got that right. I don't know where Fox 66 is in mid-Michigan now, because it sounds like it would be a station I had, but that was not the Fox station we had. Apparently, the broadcast had not been finished yet when they ran their news last night, because the entire broadcast has to be over before you can run highlights. So they drew highlights.
Michigan football team back in the national championship game with dreams of winning it all for the first time since 1997.
That is funny.
Due to certain broadcast restrictions, we are not allowed to show any highlights from the game because the broadcast is still going on right now. However, since you're here with us, please enjoy my version of the highlights from the action tonight. So let's go to beautiful Stadium for this matchup between the top-ranked Wolverines and
He's got drawings. That's fantastic.
first quarter was a big one for Michigan. Donovan Edwards came into tonight with just one TD, busted out a 41.
That's great.
He put that on the news. That's funny.
Dave is on. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network, the Diamond District bonus hours, an hour away for the 239. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dave Wannstedt's kind enough to join us once again. He's busy. He's based out of either Chicago or Naples. When he's in Chicago, he's working for the Big Ten Network, NBC Sports Chicago, 670 The Score in Chicago. You may remember him as the former coach of Pitt and, well, the Dolphins and the Bears. You follow him on Twix at Coach Wannstedt, Coach Wannstedt. It's David and Mark. Coach, how you been?
I'm good, my friends. Yes, I am looking forward to getting to Naples. Just wrapping up a little bit of Big Ten stuff and a little bit of Chicago Bears this week, and I'll be heading south. So looking forward to it. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of the Big Ten, Michigan got it done last night. Dave, your thoughts on just the job that Michigan did and Jim Harbaugh with the win last night?
Well, first of all, it's kind of crazy. It's incredible. A compliment to those players and assistant coaches that they were able to do this. You got to think about this now with your head coach being gone for half the games. You know, Jim was out for 6 of the games. And these players and these coaches maintained their focus. They stayed true to who they are, what they were, and great leadership in a lot of different areas. But I was texting with Jim last week, and him having played for me here at the Bears, and I do a lot of stuff with him on the Big Ten Network during the season. I'm really happy for him and for the Big Ten in general. But this was a great win for Jim and those staff, and mainly those kids.
Dave, is it also in it between Georgia the last 2 years, the style of play that Michigan used this year and the last 2 years for that matter? It's a quote we use often on this show. Late in Chuck Noll's career, he was asked if the game had passed him by. This was like 1989, 1990. And he said, when the game stops being about blocking and tackling, yes, it will have passed me by. I mean, Georgia, before that, Alabama, now Michigan. This is old school football. This is the football you grew up with to a sense where, you run the damn ball, Dave.
Well, what the old, just to put another, give you another quote, the famous, and I believe in this, you got to throw the ball to score enough points and put yourself in position, but you have to be able to run the ball to win games. And I think Michigan was a great example of that. And this was a real tribute to the guys that, heck, I got fired for running the ball too much a couple places. So I love I love this mentality. Trust me.
Well, and on the other side of the ball, Dave, their defense really took Penix. I mean, we watched Penix against Texas throw the ball all over the place, moving up in the pocket, whether he had time or didn't have time. He was making accurate throws everywhere. Michigan took him off of his game last night.
Well, they did. Against Alabama, they sacked Alabama 6 times, as we know, and they had 10 tackles for losses on running plays, hitting them in the backfield. And they went into the Alabama game with the whole defensive concept that we are going to pressure these guys, pressure them. They came into this game, and if you notice, there was a little bit of pressure, but the majority of the time it was rushing 4 guys up front, combination of 4, and they were playing coverage. And a lot of times they were playing almost a 4 across. I would call it like a bubble coverage, just trying to keep everybody in front of you and eliminate the big plays. And that's what they did. They went into the game saying, if we don't give up the big play to Penix and his receivers, that we'll have a chance to win the game. And the players executed it.
Basically, didn't they play the Iowa defense? I thought that's what I was watching with just a better front 4, but I thought it was the Iowa defense on the back line.
Yeah, very, very similar. Very similar. Same philosophy going into this thing. I would say that. And and the other thing too. Now they've done a great job recruiting, and for some reason, when Alabama gets a 5-star kid, it's national news, or Notre Dame or Ohio State, even in the conference. But they never talk about these kids for the most part that Michigan gets. And Michigan gets as many 4- and 5-star players as anybody. And, they're a talented team now. I mean, those guys were on all levels. They played well, and they were, as I said, they were well coached. So you like to see that.
Do you think Jim scratches his itch in the NFL now?
You know what? I do. And the only thing is he's never had an agent. And I remember when so if he was going to, this is just my gut feeling, and things obviously are a long way from being settled anywhere. But I think if he was going to take the Michigan offer, that they made an offer to him, an extension, that he could take that offer right now. He's never had an agent when he was at Michigan. He could do it. He doesn't need one. And the agent that he hired is Tom Brady's agent, and the guy only deals with NFL jobs and coaches. So that tells me that he's at least inquiring. He's at least seriously taking a look at some of these NFL opportunities.
Dave Wannstedt, Big Ten Network, NBC in Chicago, The Score in Chicago. Follow him on Twitter/X at Coach Wannstedt. And obviously you work for the Big Ten Network, but do you think someone other than Ohio State winning the national championship is something that this conference really needed?
Yes, I think it's healthy for the conference. And I'll tell you, I just thought of something as you're asking the question there. Yes, with Michigan, I think it's good. I think it's healthy. It strengthens the conference because we know how good Ohio State is and has been and will be in the future. I think Ryan Day's an excellent coach. I really do. Take a look at Michigan's schedule next week.
It's brutal.
For any of our Michigan alums that are listening, when you get a chance to pull up their schedule next year, that would make any coach say, geez, maybe it's time to leave.
We think only Florida's might be harder, to be honest with you. It's brutal.
Yes, absolutely. So, you lose that, and if J.J. McCarthy goes pro and Blake Corum, I mean, he's got a real nucleus of guys that have really led that team for a couple of years. That all factors into a coach making a decision. You're going to kind of not start from scratch, but it's going to be a little bit of a rebuild next year if he stays at Michigan, and he knows that.
Switching gears to what goes on Sunday, the Bears have a decision with Justin Fields. He showed some growth this year. This seems like it's a really difficult. You have the first overall pick and maybe a generational talent in Caleb Williams. How would you handle this?
Well, I'll tell you how, and I'm real close to this situation. I'm talking to the coaches, a couple of coaches on the staff up there. We're on my staff at Pitt, and I do all the Bears pre and post here for NBC. So I'm close to it. This is the thing that I've always gone with when you're drafting players and signing players. Talent sets the floor. Okay. Talent sets the floor, but character sets the top, the roof. In other words, you got to have talent to be talked about. And now how much character, when I say character, I'm not talking about just the good guy, bad guy. I'm talking about work ethic. You get along with your teammates. Are you a leader? All those things. Are you going to get out early and stay late? And that's what I don't know about Caleb Williams, Drake May, Penix, all these guys. I do know that those things are A+ with Justin Fields. This guy is a tough Chicago guy now, I'm telling you, and he's in early, he stays late, but he is, I'm not going to use the word limited. You have to know what he can do and what he can't do. And the Bears know that right now. And the decision is this. It's pretty simple for me. It's not simple, but it is. Can you get to a Super Bowl? And Ryan Poles, the general manager, Matt Eberflus, George McCaskey, can you get to the Super Bowl with what Justin Fields does well? And and what he does and what he brings to the table. If you feel you can, then, hey, get multiple players, trade that pick, keep them. If in your mind you're saying, oh, I don't think he can get us to that next level, whatever that is for them, then you got to trade them and you got to move on. So that's the decision they have to make.
What do you think? I mean, you've had this decision before. What quarterback are we going to get? What quarterback are we going to keep?
I don't know enough about. I know the talent level. Caleb Williams is. I would say he's probably more talented.
No, I mean about Fields. I mean, if you had to, if I was the McCaskey, I came to you and I said, Dave, can we get to the Super Bowl with Justin Fields?
Let me say this. When I was at the Dolphins, and I'll close it on this, and I'm going back to what I just said. When I was at the Dolphins and Dan Marino came over, I think it was that last year, he was going to help us, and it never worked out. And I remember we were at the Combine and sitting there, and everybody was saying, let's replace Jay Fiedler. And I said, great. We won 10 games a year with Jay Fiedler. Sure. So Dan, we're looking at the list, and Dan looks at it and he turns the paper over and he says, what is this? And I says, Dan, Tom Brady's not on that list. Peyton Manning's not going to be on that list of guys available. This is what we're looking at. And, we kind of laughed about it. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. It's easy to say get rid of Justin Fields. He's not maybe the greatest drop back passer, but he's better than anybody in the league with the football in his hand running. He's excellent accuracy when he's moving on the pocket. So who's going to take his place? Okay, you don't like that? Fine. I don't know, to answer your question, if Caleb Williams and Drake May I don't know those guys well enough to tell you on the radio show that I would get rid of Justin Fields. These guys, I've got to be convinced that they're going to be better than him before I would do it.
It's going to be in the 70s when you land in Southwest Florida, you know.
Oh, man, what am I doing? I'm going to do a talk fair. I'm going to be talking this stuff in 10 minutes, and then I got I got a TV show later, and I'll be talking to it, and the time is very split. All I know is Justin Fields, and this has nothing to do with football, but he was standing up there last year with a separated shoulder in a sling in December. It was 15 degrees out. And they asked him how he was, and he says, "We play Green Bay next week. I'll be ready to play." You bet. All I'm saying, if you're going to be a quarterback for the Bears or if you're going to play for the Bears and live in this town of Chicago, you better have that mentality. And that would be the first question that I would want answered on all these young kids coming in here.
He's Dave Wannstedt. All right. The Score, NBC Sports in Chicago. All right. And you can follow him on Twix and the Big Ten Network, of course, but you can follow him on Twix at Coach Wannstedt. Coach, safe travels. All the best. We'll catch up during the offseason. Thanks for joining us. Dave Wannstedt here on Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps. Have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Ride up and relax. Compete for cash, prizes, and more. With events like our new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, bad golfer. I mean, whatever angst there is towards Michigan is because of the scandal this year, the sign stealing. And some people think it's a really big deal. I mean, I read stories leading up to last night's game in which people are talking about when the banner's going to have to be taken down, comparing it to Louisville's men's basketball championship and what have you. And that sometime next year or later this year that something like that will happen. I don't think so. And we don't feel that way, even though we think they were cheating. What they were doing was cheating, but we think it largely affected 21 and 22. Word came out that they were doing the same at the start of this year, but they got caught and they had to stop. And we thought if they beat Penn State, Ohio State, and as it turned out, Alabama and Washington, then, they're the champs. They earned it. Well, KW, unless they're going to blow them out and hire Harbaugh, I don't see how. I don't see how that GM head coach combo doesn't stay. Yeah, KW, I think Josh McDaniels for Josh Fields would be a disaster. Josh McDaniels is a pocket passing quarterback offensive guy. I do not want Josh McDaniels for Justin Fields. Yeah, dead struck. I don't think it's ever going to get overturned. Have we had a football national title? USC's, right? 04.
Mm-mm. They didn't have to vacate the title. Just Reggie had to vacate the Heisman.
Gotcha. First thing we would have done, by the way, a year ago when Charlie Baker took over as running the NCAA, we would have reinstated all the banners would have gone back up everywhere.
Yep.
The Final Four banners in Memphis and UMass and Michigan, they all would have gone back up. Florida State would have got their indoor track championship back. Louisville would have gotten their men's basketball title back. Yeah, we would have. So they did vacate USC winning, or just the Orange Bowl vacated it? Like when you look up national champion in 2004, is it empty? Because USC blew out Oklahoma to win the BCS title that year.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Scott Jackson, part of the Commanders Radio Network. He'll join us a little more than 15 minutes time. Jam-packed show today. Went to Nashville, talked some college football with Bill King. Our weekly chat with David Samson. Went to Atlanta to talk with Mark Zinno about the Falcons. We just got done talking to Dave Wannstedt. Jam-packed show today. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com if you missed any of it and download what you missed. We got a poll question up and everything. People are actually voting on it. I mean, man, crazy show. And you'd think it was that aliens poll question. We got so many people voting.
Well, it's not
okay
that type of vote.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, it's simply where will Jim Harbaugh be coaching next season? The Raiders, the Chargers, the Bears, or Michigan? Right now, the Chargers are in the lead, 38%. Michigan's got 30%. Vegas with 23%. The rest going to the Bears. I picked the Raiders for what it's worth.
I picked the Chargers. So, did either one of you find yourself last night going, Michigan and Washington in the title game. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is a nice change of pace. No Bama, no Georgia, no LSU, no Ohio State, no Clemson. I'm down with this. I don't know if I'd be down with this every year, but yeah, you know what? This ain't bad.
It lacked the color red. And
what are you, a chef?
In some way, shape, or form, there was not any red on the television last night, and that seemed to be off for me, David.
Is it kind of like the dish at the restaurant? You look at it, you go, man, everything here looks great. There's no color on the plate. You got to garnish.
It did feel weird. I'll give you that. It definitely felt weird because it's almost like this sport in the format that it's been, the 4-team format. It almost feels like it's the SEC every year.
Oh, yeah, it has felt like this 10-year run, this 4-team playoff, it has felt like 2 of the 5 played for the title. We had Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson. I mean, those were the 5. And it seemed like it was some combination. Now, last year, TCU snuck in and Georgia humiliated them.
Same with Cincinnati a couple years ago.
In a semi, Alabama handled them. But, last night in the final, we had Michigan and Washington.
David, I never had that thought. I was just
looking for that red garnish.
I was looking for a little garnish, and I was looking for Penix to complete a pass.
Did surprise me. Also, help me out here. Did we get a replay of when he got injured? I mean, all of a sudden, Penix is on the sideline. He's doubled over in pain. They added the pad, to, I don't know if that was to protect the kidney, the ribs, and then he's back out of the field. Did we ever see the hit? I mean, they got about 34 cameras, 8 trucks. I mean, did we ever see the hit? I mean, help me out here. I mean, I know it happened in the third quarter, but I don't know. So it's kind of like, could you show me what was happening here? I mean, I will say it is the irony. We've talked about it in the past, Mark. You can hit a college quarterback a lot harder and a lot more often and a lot later.
A lot later
than you can hit a pro quarterback.
And I think football fans all for it, for the record. I think football fan, if NFL fan tuned in last night and went, well, damn, they actually get the quarterback in this game.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. There was a game played in 2022. Tennessee did things to Bryce Young at Alabama that I thought was a felony in about 15 states. And it didn't even get flagged. SEC refs were like, nothing to see here. And I mean, that was an Alabama quarterback getting the absolute snot beat out of him.
Do you think that speaks more to the toughness of college football or the TV show that is the NFL?
It's just a different set of rules. They have made every single rule to protect the quarterback in the NFL, and I think most of us are getting sick of the roughing the passer calls on Sunday. We don't get those on Saturday at all.
And just to draw a quick parallel here, that Lions-Cowboys game from a couple weeks ago, remember Derek Barnes got in the end zone and he could have sacked Dak Prescott for a safety, and he pulled up an embarrassing amount because he obviously didn't want to hit Dak too hard. It's just the player's mindset has completely changed. It's the defensive player's equivalent of a quarterback speeding up their internal clock and not being able to get the ball out correctly.
Right. If that play had happened last night, and that was the Detroit defensive coordinator, a perfect blitz, created the hole, linebacker comes rushing through, Dak's in the end zone. If that was last night, a Michigan player would have absolutely destroyed Penix, destroyed him, and it would have been a safety. Instead, in the Lions-Cowboys game, the Lions linebacker was worried about, how I'm going to hit him, where I'm going to hit him, and basically like two-hand touched him. And Dak said, well, I'm going to scramble over here and throw a bomb for a touchdown. Thanks.
Yeah, that's why that's a perfect example of what you're talking about, because not only was it such an egregious pull-up from Barnes, it led to a 92-yard touchdown.
But, I mean, there have been some famous games in college football. Like, when Florida State played in the 90s, Mickey Andrews D, Bobby Bowden. Bobby was famous for saying, we play through the whistle. And he did it with that drawl, good Christian guy. Yeah, Florida State teams beat the snot out of you. I mean, I voted for Danny Werfel for the Heisman after he lost to Florida State just because of the beating he took against Florida State and how well he played.
It wasn't that, though, David, it wasn't that long ago, because you're referencing something from
the mid-90s, right?
20 years ago. I went to see Andrew Luck play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not that long ago. And Pittsburgh hit him 55 times that night. I watched Andrew Luck get his ass kicked for 3.5 hours. And I came out of that game going, that's the toughest guy I've ever seen. He just kept popping back up. And that wasn't that long ago,
right,
in the NFL.
Right. That was 10 years ago. Yeah. Or 8 or 7.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But that's when watching the game last night. First off, I was just kind of like, Michigan, Washington. Yeah, all right. Once every 10 years, I can go for this. It's like going to the restaurant. What haven't you ordered in a while? When you go out and you go, listen, how about if we actually get something we don't normally get? Whatever that is. How about lamb? How about veal? I don't know. What's something that you like that you haven't had in a while?
I want to know right now. I want to know when the last time that you had lamb or veal was.
I had lamb 2 weeks ago, actually. Okay. I literally did Michigan, Washington. I said, you know what? I'm going to have lamb. Because my grandmother used to make lamb. It's the only place I'd ever get it.
I have never had lamb or veal in my entire life.
Okay. No, I hate veal, but lamb.
What is veal? Like, what is
a
it?
baby cow?
Oh,
what?
Wow.
I don't like, I'm not a huge veal guy. I'm not. I don't order it.
You've just not had it prepared right.
Maybe not, Mark. Maybe
we can
not.
Fix that.
Maybe
you
not.
You like meat way too much to not like veal.
Well, okay. Something I can work on in 2024.
We'll work on that.
So why does it taste different than regular cow? What's the that doesn't matter.
You're asking me? I mean, come on. I can give you, it tastes like chicken. I don't know.
The real question is between.
Can we get back to when you're watching Michigan and Washington?
Which one's veal and which one's lamb between those two?
God, Washington was lamb.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt.
So anyway, once
Michigan
every 10
was
years,
special, like a veal chop last night, like a delicious veal chop. That's how good they were.
Once every 10 years, I can go for a Michigan-Washington national championship game. Okay, I can. Now back to regularly scheduled Alabama, LSU, Ohio State programming.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay, for the record, I misspoke. I don't hate veal, but I don't love it. It's okay, but I usually only have it as veal parmesan. Like,
Well,
I don't
that's
just have veal.
then you're putting breading on something. You need a veal chop.
I do. And you know what? You're right. Okay. First of all, I had very little veal growing up.
It's expensive.
That's why I had very little veal growing up.
I did too. Very
But
little.
also my grandmother, she would cook lamb. She liked lamb. We had lamb. Okay. With very little veal in my life growing up. But you're right. I should, in theory, with what I eat, I should like veal. I tell you what, I will give it a try. Next time I'm at a decent restaurant, I will give it a shot. I will say, you know what? I need to enlighten myself. Try it. Let's go. Yeah, KW, I got to be honest with you. I don't think there's ever a reason to not want a big chicken wing.
We've had this discussion on the show, and I'm not in the mood today. I'm just not in the mood.
I'm just too damn tired. I'm going to go home. I'm going to take my nap. Well, I will say, fam, when CJ Stroud, the Georgia game, when he did what he did against Georgia, it was like, My thing with Bryce was, I know he's small. I still think he can play on Sunday. And I get those that said, no way. 5'10" and a half, no way. Ain't taking him. Okay. You know, like Rich Gannon. I was listening to him the other day. He just said if I was running a team and we're last year and it came time to do quarterbacks, I just would have asked the question in the room, how many quarterbacks 5'10" and a half have had great success in this league? Can you name 4? And Rich goes, and when you couldn't name 4, we would have taken CJ Stroud.
And I was a Stroud guy, but I never said that Young was going to be a bust. I just preferred CJ Stroud. That game against Georgia, I was like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that game against Georgia.
But guys, he didn't pass that one test or whatever it's called. What's the
right? Yeah, just yeah, he scored badly on the test.
It's just, how ridiculous is that?
So did Dan Marino. I swear, every time I see it, I lose my mind.
Wonderlick, is that what it's called?
No,
it's not anymore. It was the Wonderlick. Now it's the S something.
Right.
Interesting.
You got to watch the first 15 minutes of A Football Life of Dan Marino. When they show his college highlights, and then you think back to, wait a minute, they took how many quarterbacks before him? I mean, the way oh my God. A joke. I can understand taking Elway. I totally, but my gosh. I mean, Todd Blackledge over Dan Marino.
I understand. RCB, I said that last year, though, where the O-lines were and receivers were similar. It's not, this isn't a revisionist history. I was going to draft CJ Stroud a year ago. That's all.
I mean, when you think about it, Bryce Young got an experienced head coach with an experienced play caller. CJ Stroud gets a rookie head coach and a rookie play caller. Look at how it went.
Scott's ready.
All right.
Four for 4 on phone guests today. That's pretty.
That is good.
We got lucky. You never know around here.
Hey, don't speak too soon.
Here we go.
The 8-track can jam at any time.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits at the top of the hour for our loyal audience in the 239. He is crushing it weekday afternoons, 94.1 ESPN in Virginia. He's also the play-by-play voice of Old Dominion basketball. And then he's still doing that Commanders radio network thing, Big 100 in D.C. He's Scott Jackson. You can follow him on Twitter/X at Jackson Sports. Jackson Sports. Scott, thanks for joining us. A belated Happy New Year. How's life in the 757?
Well, it's been great. Although, this morning, one of these mornings where, we're going to have potentially, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds tonight. So a lot of the morning spent battening down the old hatches, as they say.
All right. Well, battening down the hatches for the team is what's next. They bring in a couple of consultants. How smart was this by the Commanders of changing the way they're going to hire a coach?
Well, I think, look, they're doing the right structure. We'll see what the end result is before we can really say if it was smart or not. But look, they brought in people, from two different industries, obviously, in terms of sports, but the same industry, and one that's amazingly successful. I mean, anybody who follows the NBA and understands where the Warriors were and where they got to be, under Bob Myers, I think understands that this is a really smart guy. And I get it. For some people, it's like, why did they bring him in as a basketball guy? What does he could possibly know? Well, he's not running the team. He's not making picks. He's not even necessarily hiring people. He's just bringing these people along with Rick Spielman to Josh Harris, who, comes from a lot of different sports backgrounds, but none of which are the NFL. So I think from that side of it, and again, they're both outsiders. They're not somebody that's already in the building and maybe a little bit, loyal to other people. Is probably the smart way to go here. And, as you saw, all the requests they put in yesterday, they put out a wide net. Probably easier to list the people they're not talking to at this point or asking to talk to than the people they will be talking to.
In the last 5 months, what do you think you've been able to gather about Josh Harris? My only connection with him was 15 minutes in the booth in the preseason game that we did, and he was clearly nervous doing the interview with Joe and Troy on the Monday Night Football game. But what have you been able to in the last 5 months think you now know about the owner of the Commanders?
Well, he's going to do his research and he's going to do his due diligence. He's not just going to fall in love with the first person and, kind of stack the deck to, hey, this is who we're going to hire. I mean, I think it was pretty obvious over the years when Dan Snyder was on the prowl for somebody, like who he was going to hire. I think it was really easy. Usually ESPN would tell you who the number one candidate was, and usually that's who the number one candidate ended up being, the person they ended up hiring was. So it was really not very, it wasn't really necessarily something that was well thought out. The guy's not afraid to put smarter people around him, something Dan Snyder really struggled with throughout his time. This guy clearly, to maybe his detriment in some fans' eyes, let Ron Rivera run the show. I mean, he just let him do everything this year. Stayed out of the way. Did not interrupt that horrific season, and allowed him to make the decisions he thought was best. And even if they got in, obviously the process very late. So who knows had he got the team say in February if Ron Rivera would have even coached the team, or if he would have been more involved. But I think that's what you've seen. I thought yesterday he was amazing, and I know the Monday Night Football thing you're referencing. Of course, he's been made made an internet meme for that. But it's yesterday he was really relaxed. His 15 minutes, he covered more ground than the previous guy. And I know that's a low bar ever did with the fan base and the media. And I thought he handled it very well. And when you hear from Philadelphia people, well, he's a behind-the-scenes guy, really doesn't do much, he doesn't show his face publicly. Well, with the Commanders, it's been the complete opposite. And I think what people fail to mention here is, again, this is a team that he grew up on, not the Commanders per se, it was the Washington Redskins, obviously, but this is what he grew up on. This is his real roots. This is his passion. He's always wanted to get into pro sports. And you never really think about it. Players don't get to choose where they go. And then these super rich guys, even if they have a lot of money, how often is it they get to actually buy a team they grew up rooting for, right? it probably not very often. I can't even think of too many opportunities where that's happened. Usually they inherit the team from family or whatever, and the team they love, but were they really fans of the team growing up? And that's what I think the cool thing about Josh Harris is. Doesn't mean he's going to be a super success, but certainly I think he cares deeply about it. Dan Snyder used to say he was a fan too, I know, but I think there was some evidence that he wasn't quite the fan he thought he was. But anyway, so I think that's what I've noticed the most from Josh Harris so far.
Houston and Indianapolis were drafting pretty early. They played a game, and the winner ended up winning the division. How close could it be for Washington? How far away are they? We see teams every year turn around from worst to first. Is there talent enough there to make a turnaround quickly?
Well, the tough thing is they're going to have so many free agents. They got a lot of roster holes. The previous regime did them no favors. The drafts really have not aged well at all. The 4 drafts, besides the Chase Young debacle, you can go further than that back. The first-round picks are all major question marks. The second-round picks are not much better. It is amazing, though, what coaching will do for you, because this secondary last year played pretty well. They lost Chris Harris to the Titans. They brought in a guy who was basically a high school friend of Jack Del Rio's, to run the secondary this year, and it'll look like it. It was terrible. And then didn't get much Rivera, took over, and they brought in some consultant from Michigan State or wherever the guy was from. So coaching was so bad this year on so many levels. It's really hard to say. And again, they've just got so many holes to fill. The offensive line has been neglected for the entire 4 years. They've made some of the weirdest decisions, sending talent out of here, bringing in washed up players and guys that other teams didn't want. So it's tough to say, and they didn't play to their strengths this year at all on offense. So it's going to be interesting to see. But you see it. You're right. The quick turnarounds with their coaching staff. The Giants did it last year too, but then slipped back this year. Maybe that was a little fool's gold. So I'm curious to see. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people think, but also at the same time, I do realize they've got a lot of things they've got to take care of and do it quickly, and I think that's why they're trying to move this at rapid speed right now.
Talking Commanders with Scott Jackson. He's part of their radio network. Who do the fans want? Do they want a young, offensive mind in the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay mold, or if a couple of these veteran coaches become available here, the guy in New England, the guy in Pittsburgh, do they want the proven guy, or do they want young blood?
Well, I think if you polled most of the fans I think they want the young blood up-and-comer guy, but you know how that goes. Just for every Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan and
right.
Mike McDaniel, there's a lot of misses too. There's guys that aren't really the young up-and-comers that you swing and miss on. So yeah, I think that'd be great. At the same time, you can't close your mind to the idea if Jim Harbaugh were interested and available. He's a proven winner no matter where he's been. I don't know how you stick your nose up at that. Mike Tomlin, I don't think the Steelers are that foolish, but if they were to trade him, I think he would have a lot of cachet here and a lot of excitement about him if he got the right offensive coordinator under him. And obviously the front office is squared away. Belichick, I think, is the one guy that's interesting. Talking, just again, this is fans, right? Talking that they kind of are like, yeah, no thanks. Because again, it's, Belichick's going to want control most likely, although I know he left that open yesterday very smartly with his presser. But that's what's killed him, right? His inability to pick the right players. And we've seen enough of that here. We've seen this, this was coach-centric, supposed to be here with Ron Rivera, which was based off the Bill Belichick thing, and it was terrible. So I think that is not a formula anybody wants to see here. There's got to be a real football ops person. There's got to be, general manager, coach. It's got to all be separated. And certainly the coach is going to have a lot of say in who's on his roster, but he can't have the final say and the only say, which is felt like what was going on here with Ron, and Ron just wasn't good at it. None of these coaches could be trained to David. They watch the NFL all year, and then they all of a sudden they're going to parachute into college football. It's supposed to be experts on all the draft picks by 15-minute meetings of the combine or these visits that they come in town for. It's not realistic. So I would say there definitely needs to be some separation between football ops and head coach with this time around.
He's Scott Jackson, Afternoon Drive, ESPN 94.1 in Virginia Beach, still part of the Commanders Radio Network. You can follow Scott on Twix, Twitter/X at Jackson Sports. Jackson Sports. Good luck tonight with the weather. Stay safe. Thanks for your time, Scott.
Always great talking, David. Thank you.
Scott Jackson, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Well, they gave Sam Howell 17 starts. And he got sacked the most of any quarterback in the league and threw the most interceptions of any quarterback in the league. So I'm curious, just when the new regime comes in and they look at the tape, do they go, wow, this guy actually has some potential, but man, they did him wrong. Or if they look at the tape and go, yeah, we're taking a quarterback.
Can the answer actually be both?
Sure.
Because throwing whatever quarterback they draft out there can also be the wrong move. And this is a team that, as he pointed out, has an incredible amount of holes in the roster, and it's going to get worse in free agency. So there are certain times that drafting the quarterback and putting him out there can work. Obviously, C.J. Stroud worked incredibly well. But it doesn't always work that way. And let Sam Howell take the abuse for one more year as you get this quarterback ready and try to shore the roster up.
Washington's going to be in a fascinating situation. They're drafting second. I mean, we don't know what the Bears are going to do. Do we think the Bears are going to tip their hand early? Do you think, they don't have to pick up Fields' fifth-year option until May, drafts in late April. So, unless they were to pick it up beforehand, which I could argue would make him even more tradable, but then again, they don't have to because the team they trade him to could pick it up. I mean, you tell me, Mark, what would you do if you're Chicago? Draft the quarterback, draft Marvin Harrison, trade the picks, and get as much as you can.
I would go with C. I would trade the picks and get as much as I can.
Okay. How far down are you willing to go, by the way? New England 3, Arizona 4, Chargers 5, Giants 6.
Well, it's interesting because I don't know if Arizona's going to be in a spot where they want to make a move.
Well, they might be primed to trade out.
Right.
And the Chargers as well.
Right.
That's why I think that if you're the Giants, beating the Eagles cost you a spot there. You went from 5 to 6. That could be an expensive spot. Now there's 2 teams who, in theory, could trade out. We don't need a quarterback. We have Kyler Murray and Herbert. So
I wouldn't want to go further than 3.
So if you're Washington, you're only willing to trade down with or Chicago, you're only willing to trade down with New England.
Yeah. That's where I'd like to be.
Okay.
Because then I can fleece whatever team I'm trading with and still get Harrison.
You also could then do it again if you wanted. I think if you go to 3, you could still do some fleecing, if you know what I mean. I think you can get the Giants or somebody who may go, oh, we'll get there. Remember, the Jets moved up from 6 to 3 to get their hands on Darnold. Now, they only gave up 3 seconds to do it. They didn't give up a first, but just saying.
But I think the Bears, it's what I would do. I think the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams and move on from Fields.
So this draft will be great. This NFL offseason is going to be amazing.
They always are.
Well, they do seem to get better every year. They do. Hey, is anybody going to get fired today or tomorrow? What the heck? Come on now. Come on, guys. We're at 5.
How are your patience on this going, David? Are you starting to get a little irritated that we haven't had more movement?
I don't know about irritated, Mark, because I'm also a baseball fan, and free agency has sucked this year. My goodness. Scott Boras has all the clients that aren't overseas, okay? So we're waiting on the 2 Japanese guys. Then once they sign, now we're waiting on Boras. There's nothing happened to baseball. They're actually talking about passing rules, making it so that all the transactions have to take place during a certain period of time. That's how bad this offseason's been in baseball.
Yeah, for a league that used to have the hot stove league.
Right.
And that's all that people of generations prior to ours talked about in the fall, in the winter until spring.
Right.
Baseball has quickly become the most boring offseason of all the major sports.
Agreed.
Basketball and football have done such a great job of taking the oxygen out of baseball for what they do in their off seasons versus what baseball has done in its.
I mean, think about football. Free agency starts mid-March, and the draft is late April. And that whole 6 weeks is seemingly nothing but transactions and hype. And basketball owns the first 10 days of July. So, but I have to admit, I'm waiting to see what happens to New England. I think once the dominoes drop in New England, that's to see how many coaches we're going to get. Miller and Moulton. For those that listened, thanks. We'll do this again tomorrow. For those of the 239, the bonus hour awaits.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Fam, I'd never really thought of it in terms of the salary cap. But I don't think that has to do with why they're losing the off seasons. I think baseball is just the GMs have basically colluded to not spend money in the off season, and the other sports don't care, and they get right after it. mean, maybe it's because of the cap. I'd never really given that much thought, fam. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, I'm a little behind because I'm on the Twitch stream. Giant thing of goldfish. Gonna knock himself
You brought
out.
a plate for your goldfish?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just grab them out of the bag?
Well, it's a big carton.
David, we know.
Okay.
We just saw it.
Right. And so, no, I make it easy on myself. I pour them on a plate.
You want some milk with that and just do it like cereal?
Nope.
Are those the seasoned ones?
They are flavor blasted extra cheddar.
Yes, those are very good.
What are you, 4?
Well, I will say these are my granddaughters.
Were.
Oh, yeah, I'll get more. I just have to make my grocery list. Goldfish, bananas, Gatorade Zero. It's very important. What the hell is Tajin?
It's a spice.
And no, what was that thing? The question, have we ever had started with an M?
Mutton.
I don't even know what it is.
It's kind of like lamb.
I've had lamb. If we had a bigger audience, Mishko Blue, we could do product placement on this show. Put signage behind Mark. He could be like the coaches at the press conference. Get an insurance company, a bank. Put the sign behind him.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is a Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Congratulations to Michigan. 26 years in the making, and they had to share that one. This one's all theirs. I was surprised Fowler actually even went there at the end of the broadcast. You know, it had just hit 00 and all that, and he, mentioned the scandal. I was surprised he went there.
Don't you kind of have to?
Yeah, how can you not?
Are you serious?
How can you not mention that?
Have you listened to the Fowler Herb Street broadcasts over the years? They don't exactly go there. Kirk never goes there. Ever. Kirk wouldn't give an opinion on the key holding call in the fourth quarter against Washington. He's certainly not going to chime in about this. So, yeah, I was surprised the timing of it. I mean, basically the streamers were coming down. And Fowler just said, and for those of you that, think they're cheaters and what have you, blah, blah, blah. I went, whoa. Oh, okay. So that's all.
And it's why I love you for the post game, because David, as that thing is hitting triple zeros, I'm racing to bed. I've had it. I was so delighted that a 7:30 kicked at 7:45 last night.
Faked me out. By the time I turned the TV on, it was 7-0 Michigan. I went, I'll be damned.
I had my daughter's gymnastics practice last night. So it runs until 8 o'clock. And about 7:30, I'm on X. And I'm kind of going, this thing's going to start, based on the clock numbers of what people are telling me, this thing's starting pretty soon. So I immediately started watching and was that dad at gymnastics just locked into the phone. And then the whole ride home, listening to the game as well. Basically, I hope your practice was great, sweetie, but we've got a game to pay attention to right now.
This is important. Yep. Not that your practice isn't, but it isn't. I need to listen to this, right? Mm-hmm.
So I was impressed that they got the game of all things. I was stunned that it started before 8 o'clock.
I was too. I thought they were just trying to get us to watch the heavily sponsored pregame show. I thought it was a ploy to appease Capital One or Taco Bell or AT&T, whoever the heck it was.
It is one of the things that we've always known. But now, having worked with you for a while and accompanied you to a NFL game, the halftime difference is staggering.
Yes.
I mean, an NFL game, they send it back to the studio, they talk for a couple of minutes, and we'll be back with the second half.
12 minutes. 12 minutes. By minute 13, man, that ball better be in the air. Let's go. Meanwhile, college football, regular season, 20 minutes. And trust me, the bands are winning out. Like Kirby can't get the Florida-Georgia game moved out of Jacksonville, TV networks and athletic directors and college presidents cannot get rid of the bands at halftime.
And they never will.
Nope, it ain't happening.
And they shouldn't. I know it affects the length of the TV product, but for those that go to the game, that's a part of the whole, brought my kid to a Steeler game over Christmas break. That was his first NFL game. We were talking about it yesterday. He goes, there's a big difference between what it looks like on Saturday and Sunday.
And I think what you just mentioned, actually, Mark, is the biggest distinguishable reason to the average viewer. People who don't really know the difference between all the 1 foot in bounds rules, stuff like that. Like there's a band playing in the background the whole game in college. I mean, after every play, you hear a little something, a little 5-second doodle from the brass section.
Michigan's done a good job of implementing Hail to the Victors. Their band's improved on how they slip it in.
Yep.
With, having that Rocky Top feel of getting Hail to the Victors in as many times as humanly possible over the course of a game.
Well, they went a long period of time without being able to. And now, the last 3 years especially, it's like, man, we're really good. Okay, so we got to work on this. But yes, as Trent just, said, if doodles count, had to be 40 last night.
Yep.
I'd go over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's every play. It's every play, pretty much.
They were doodling last night. Yes, they were. Yep. Don't get me wrong. Pick Michigan. So in that sense, wanted them to win the whole deal. But I did want Washington to tie it at 20. I wanted the tension, and I really was going to be curious. Are they going to let JJ throw at all? Or are they just like, no, man, we're running, and if you stop it, you're going to win?
Yeah, and David, I was chastising Michigan every time they threw the ball, period, in the game. Second and 10, they threw the ball. I'm like, what are you doing?
Hey, 4 minutes ago, first half, Michigan had the ball on the 4th and 2 on the Washington 38. And I know analytics, that's a go. That's a big green light. I got it. It was 17-3. Washington hadn't done anything. And I know Michigan had moved the ball in the first quarter really well, but then, second quarter, they were getting slowed down a little bit. Remember, it was 3rd and 8, and they ran a draw play for 6 yards. Were you surprised they went for it?
No, I was surprised that they threw it. I would have run a quarterback draw. I would have run the football. I would not have dropped back from center and tried to make a 5-yard out play. They were dominating the line of scrimmage. That to me was an opportunity to score a touchdown and end the football game before halftime. I would have definitely gone for it. I didn't like the play call.
So, and I fully understand the whole risk reward. And you're right, Mark. They convert that, and if they pound that sucker in, it's 24-3. But this baby over. But I was just, believe it or not, and I would have been ridiculed, I would have tried to draw them off sides when it didn't work, the 5-yard penalty, and then punted from the 43. Because I'm like, they ain't doing anything, and I do not want to give them life. I don't want to give them field position. Nothing. I'm going to punt it, pin them inside the 10, and because the other thing is Washington got the ball to start the second half. I'm like, I do not want to give them a shorter field. If they put points on the board, then they're going to get the ball to start the second. I don't want this. So my very conservative football nature, I was punting because I'm like, man, this is, I think, the only thing I can do to let them back in the game. And then they hung around. They were doing the rope-a-dope thing. It's 2013. And they complete the slant and go, and right tackle gets called for a hold.
I do think that if you punt there, that has shades of playing not to lose. Instead of
yeah.
Win.
No, I know.
Because to your point, I mean, you could almost use that exact same logic and just say, well, yeah, I mean, we are dominating them. Yes, we could give them a little bit of life here, but we also could end it before halftime.
The one thing I never thought of, it was only a 53-yard field goal. That never entered my mind.
Yeah, it would have been like 56. It was on the 38, so I think it would have been 56. But
okay.
Yeah, and I didn't enter my mind either. No. No, I would have gone for it before I would have sent him out there. Yeah.
But Michigan just dominated on the ground, 303 yards rushing. Of all the ways for Michigan to win, they won the game how they wanted. They played the game how they wanted to play it. They're not just the players, but the fans. There's not a Michigan person on the planet not walking around with their chest puffed out today saying not only did we win it, we won it the way we wanted to.
Yet I got to hear that J.J. McCarthy is the best quarterback they've ever had. Give me a break.
Mark, you're so right. Think about the pride that the Michigan fan has today, but particularly if they're of our age or older. A Michigan man delivered a national championship for Michigan. And how did he do it, Mark? He did it the way Michigan has played football going all the way back.
He did it the way Bo would have done it.
Exactly. Because we knew going back, and Trent, you were a youngin', but when they hired Rich Rod, we're like, the Michigan fans, what offense is this? What the? Wait, what? Yeah.
The good old days.
There was some of that with Hulk too, I remember. obviously way different coach, different stylistically and everything, but the vibe with the fan base.
But going back to that legendary Bo quote when he fired Bill Frieder on the cusp of the NCAA tournament, because Bill had already, his contract was up and he was going to Arizona State when the NCAA tournament was over. Bo wouldn't let him coach the tournament. And when asked why, he said, because we're going to have a Michigan man coach Michigan. And Steve Fisher goes and wins the title.
Hey, by the way, there's a Michigan man coaching Michigan right now at their basketball program.
Stop it, Trent. It's not the day. It's just not.
I know it's not.
I know it bothers you.
I gotta get that in.
But it's not the time. There'll be plenty of time. Don't worry. Today is a great day for the University of Michigan and Michigan men and Michigan women everywhere. There's no doubt. It was a dominant performance. They were spectacular. They deserved it. And Miller and Moulton, for the record, don't have an asterisk next to this title.
Nope.
Many of you do, and we've been asked on X, we've been asked on the text line, we've been asked in the Twitch chat room. We don't have an asterisk next to this title.
No. Now, don't get me wrong. We said they were cheating. 21, 22, they were cheating. Did they start 23 still trying to cheat? Absolutely. But this title, Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Washington, nah. They're the champs, baby.
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Ride up and relax. Compete for cash, prizes, and more. With events like our new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Bernie Kosar coffee. I didn't know he had coffee.
You know, for the M fans my age, this is huge because they didn't see the 97 one. Their life is Rich Rod, Brady Hoke, Trouble with the Snap, JT Barrett short against, that's their life as Michigan fans. They're going nuts.
It's going to be a long year.
got it better than us.
Everybody.
Does it add to the angst, or does it, we've always said the greatest oxygen in college football is angst.
Well, I will say, as much as it's annoying on social media to see all the Michigan people going nuts, to see some of the Ohio State people, the one Ohio State person in particular, this is the worst day of my life since 1997. Shut up. Just stay off of social media for a day.
This isn't about you. Get over yourself. You've gotten your butt kicked by him 3 years in a row. Do something about it. Would you say Ohio State is third for you, Mark, after Michigan and Notre Dame? Notre Dame and Michigan.
It's such a distant third, but
me too. But yeah, it is. Third.
I mean, their fan base is pretty obnoxious. But all the SEC fan bases are obnoxious, and they don't bother me as much.
Yeah. They've earned maybe more of a right to be obnoxious. Maybe.
I don't know. The Georgia fan was right there with the
I was going to say
most annoying fan bases on earth.
Well, especially because you have the extra.
Yeah, but I still like Georgia. I've got no problem with Georgia. Their fan base is annoying as hell. What really sucks is that my team's never going to be good again. Ever.
I mean, yeah, probably.
In my lifetime, I don't see them ever winning a Big Ten title.
Really?
In football?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
Why not?
They did it okay. Look, they did it a bunch of times in my life.
Okay, here we go. Very simply. On your best day in the new Big Ten, on your best day as a program, where do they rank?
Well,
Don't
right
overthink
now,
it.
No. On their best day.
Guys, I've seen them win the Big Ten in my life.
Oh, God, answer the question.
You're not listening, Trent. Going forward, you see them being you can sit there and logically say they're going to be the best team in the Big Ten.
At some point, yeah.
Okay, you're high.
At some point.
You're high.
I'm 24.
Trent.
We got 50 years.
Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon.
USC.
Are always set, in USC. Those four, even if you want to give them that on their best day, they could be equal with the Penn State, which I don't believe, David. But those four right there, they're just never in the same league.
But you're not playing all those teams every year anymore. It's different. That has to factor in a little bit. If you get a schedule break,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. So you're saying basically like Ole Miss next year. That's your shot. You get a schedule like Ole Miss only has one game next year that it'll be potentially they're not favored at LSU.
Here we go.
Otherwise, they're favored in 11 games.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Diamond District bonus hour, Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. We had a hell of a show. If you're just joining us now, along the network, the first 3 hours, Bill King out of Nashville talking college football, David Samson, Mark Zinno out of Atlanta talking Falcons, Dave Wannstedt talking Michigan's title and the Bears and what are they going to do with Justin Fields. And then
He'd keep him, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds like he would. It sounds like he would. Loves his toughness, loves his work ethic, admits he's probably never going to be, a top 10 quarterback 8 yards behind center, but says he's the best quarterback in the league. To him, when he leaves the pocket, his throwing ability and his running ability combined, he thinks he's right there with Lamar when he leaves the pocket as a weapon. And right now, Dave Wannstedt, I think, he would stay.
He would have to really be convinced from the way Wannstedt talked to us. And the one thing he did say is like, look, I'm not talking to Drake May, and I'm not talking to Caleb Williams, and I don't know them, and I don't have a relationship. But basically, they would have to prove something to him in interviews that they can handle Chicago.
Right. You need a tough quarterback. And Dave said, I got to find out how tough these guys are. I can't think about replacing Justin Fields. Guy played with a separated shoulder against the Packers. Okay, he goes, he gets it. No, it's important.
His comments the other day, leaving the podium too, were pretty classy. I mean, he just said, if this was my last time representing the Bears, I gave it my all.
My question is, do you just take Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, if you're not going to go the quarterback route, if you're keeping Fields, I mean, you could sell it for an auction.
Don't you have to sell it, David? I get what you're saying, that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a special player.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have what many people think is a generational quarterback available, you can't sit there and not trade that pick to me. You like to use the phrase organizational malpractice.
Yep.
To be staring at 3 first-round picks and to give that up to take a wide receiver, I think is organizational malpractice. I do.
I love the first 48 to 72 hours after a season ends because you get comments like this from Adam in our Twitch chat room, who is a diehard Jags fan. He has it in his Twitch ID. You know, it's Adam _ and eventually it gets to Jaguars _ fan. By the way, 3 underscores in his Twitch name. Is that really necessary? Anyway, and we love you, Adam. You know that. I'll trade you Trevor Lawrence for Justin Fields. That's how painful the end of that season is. And as someone who now lives in Jacksonville, I can tell you this city is messed up right now, emotionally messed up.
And David, I think you're selling the comment just a little bit short because it doesn't just say I'll trade you Trevor Lawrence for Fields. I'll trade you INT Trevor. I mean, get right to it.
Right.
He is angry with
done.
Trevor Lawrence right now.
He's done. I'm done with this guy. Yep.
He does. Trevor Lawrence will start the season with some serious pressure on him, though.
Well, he got some questions yesterday he's never received as the quarterback of the Jags from the local media. And I got to give the Jacksonville media some credit. You know, for the most part during the year, you know, there's a lot of pom-poms. There are, but they do cover this team. They've questioned this team. They ask good questions. And I give the Jaguars, by the way, quick sidebar, Mark, a lot of credit. JP Shadrick does daily programming with Pete Prisco and Tony Baselli. Pete Prisco and Tony Baselli go after the Jags often. And the Jags put that out on Jaguars.com. That impresses in this day and age. That's not normal. But yes, I will trade INT Trevor for Fields. I love the first 2-3 days after a season ends in disappointing or crushing fashion.
Crushing fashion for the Jags. I mean, you think about 8-3, we had an X next to their name.
Oh, done. It's over. No, they already got a banner. We had to call the printers yesterday. We got to get one sent to the Texans. Because if we try to rework this one, the Texans are going to put the banner up and it's going to be like, man, that looks like a Jags logo. So, hey, listen, you wait to see the questions the Dolphins get if they don't beat the Chiefs. They're starting to percolate. People are starting to turn. There were people taking to Twix last night who were going, you know what? I've been a Tua guy. Don't know if I'm a Tua guy anymore. Just can't get it done against the good teams. Mike McDaniel was very different yesterday, Mark, than Mike McDaniel usually is with the media. He was a very prototypical NFL coach yesterday. Very matter of fact, short with his answers. And apparently, the message coming out from the locker room is McDaniel walked in and said, hey, figure it out. Why can't we get over the hump? Why can't we beat these teams? I think we're every bit as good as them. Why can't we beat them? Now, I will say, if that is in fact what he said to the team, and that's what's being reported, there has to be some questioning of Mike McDaniel. Dude, you didn't run the ball once in the third quarter. You ran the ball 3 times in the second half. You averaged 8 yards a carry in the first half. I mean, you got to own some of this too, man.
Right, it's not like you were down 3 scores.
No, you led until the final 6 minutes of the game. You were led or tied.
Right.
The whole, the first 24 minutes of the second half. And you didn't run the ball at all. So, I mean, you and I would have been fired already if we were like up in the booth. Last year, I would have been fired for how many times I would have said, run the damn ball. But you would have been fired Sunday.
Oh, there's no doubt. They were so effective in the first half, and then they just decided to not run. Not like anything was on the line.
No, it wasn't important.
Let me ask you guys this, because this is might sound like a crazy question on the surface, but which coach do you trust more on game day, Todd Bowles or Mike McDaniel?
Well, one's in charge of the offense, the other's in charge of the defense.
Right. I'm just saying, like in game,
Todd Bowles.
clock management decisions, all that.
Todd Bowles. Mike McDaniel's terrible at challenges. Still, he's not. He's a lot better this year than he was last year about getting plays in and clock management and avoiding delay of games, but he's not perfect at all. The only thing I've ever held against Todd Bowles was when they were tied with under 30 seconds to go against the Rams 2 years ago in the divisional round, and he went with a 0 blitz. And Cooper Kupp was one-on-one on a linebacker in the slot and caught the 50-yard bomb, got him in field goal range, and the Rams beat the Bucs. And the Rams went on to win the Super Bowl. And you look back and you go, damn, Bucs come back, win that game. They might have won another one.
That's a great question. Because I'm still sitting here trying to figure out who my C choice is. Because I don't know if I trust either of them.
Now they're both coaching playoff games.
And both are going to be on the hot seat if they lose playoff games.
Both trying to get their first playoff win. At least Todd Bowles has a quarterback who's won a playoff game before.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd, with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Would you rather be the Dolphins have to go to Arrowhead or be the Bucks hosting the Eagles?
Bucks.
100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy how much stuff changed in the last 2-3 weeks of the season. I mean, seriously, Miami beats Dallas. They've got everything in front of them. Not to mention the Eagles continue to implode. It's also kind of funny because all week we were like, hey, the 3 Florida teams are all in first place. And then the Jags lost, the Dolphins lost, and the Bucks won their division but won the last game 9-0.
I just can't believe at the beginning of the year we said only one of the 3 was going to win the division. Who would it be? I would not have bet the Bucks.
No, they would have been the 3rd favorite for sure.
I think I might have picked them 2nd.
Over Miami?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Buffalo, until proven otherwise, Buffalo owns them.
Well, definitely now.
Oh, I'm so happy that school started.
Change of pace.
You can take a nap.
I take them with her there. She's been on the tablet so much anyhow. I just go to the couch, shut her down. Play on your computer, dear. They had a list of Falcons coaches and odds up. Lane Kiffin retweeted it and said, I'll take Kirby Smart.
I saw that.
And Portnoy just eviscerated somebody that's a Mississippi State guy that covers college football, and Lane Kiffin retweeted it.
Wow.
Say that again. What happened?
Portnoy just eviscerates this Mississippi State guy.
Okay. And then Lane Kiffin retweeted
it with the wind blowing emoji. That's all he had.
Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The home stretch, the final segment of the Diamond District bonus hour. Appreciate you listening to Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much. Miss any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what you missed. And today you missed 5 interviews. 5! Covered the gamut.
David, I know we got some stuff to do here, but we've talked about the Dolphins game against the Chiefs very little. It's going to be cold, not just cold. Apparently, it's going to be the coldest game that the Miami Dolphins have ever played football in. Ever.
So it's at night, and they're talking about single-digit temperature and below 0 wind chill.
2008, December 21st, at Kansas City, it was 10 degrees and sunny. That's the coldest game the Dolphins have ever played in. For the record, they won it 38-31.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We think the Dolphins are going to hold up really well on this, don't we?
Well, as healthy as they are, too.
Right. No, they're not missing anybody. No. Just 3 edge rushers, 5 linebackers, starting corner.
And we'll see how the receiver and running back are.
Right. Who missed the last game. Mm-hmm.
Your guys' snark level with the Dolphins right now is at an all-time high.
Well, I mean, come on now.
I'm just calling it out, right?
No. How many points would you need to take the Dolphins? I'll give you 6.
I had said heading into the weekend they were going to lose to the Bills and beat the Chiefs. I did not suspect that they were going to be as banged up as they are for this Chiefs game.
Trent, I'll give you the Dolphins in 7. Would you take it?
No. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's funny.
This is the Chiefs now. They don't score a lot of points this year. I mean, got to admit, I would have loved the Dolphins healthy in a rematch with the Chiefs. Loved them. Because I think they figured them out in the second half in London or Germany or wherever the heck they played. Held them to 40-something yards. I actually think they would have picked up where they left off defensively, and they would have done well in this game. But, yeah, I'm with you, Mark. Oh, boy.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today in 1958, the University of Cincinnati played Seton Hall in a basketball game. Seton Hall scored 54 points. Oscar Robinson for Cincinnati had 56.
Big O.
The original Big O.
Correct.
They were winning 118 to 54. Rawhide debuted today in 1959. It was today in 62 that the NFL prohibits the grabbing of face masks. Right. Head slap still allowed, though. Today in 72, the Milwaukee Bucks ended the Lakers' 33-game winning streak. It was the longest professional sports winning streak. The Raiders beat the Vikings in Super Bowl 11 today, 32-14.
I had a lot of money on that game. No, I'm not kidding either. It was, let's see, it was today in 77, right? So it was the 76 season. So I was 11. I think I was in 6th grade. And yeah, I was the guy I was the guy I was the bank. I handled all the money. So and so bet a dime, so and so bet a quarter. A big bet was 50 cents. Mark, I mean, I won like $8 on that Super Bowl. And at 11, that was big.
Today in 1984, Van Halen releases 1984. Panama, Hot for Teacher. Pretty good album.
Wait.
Their most commercially successful album.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying their best album.
Was that the last one with David Lee?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah, it was, because then in 86, 5150 came out and went number one. I think 84 would have gone number one if it weren't for Thriller, but
that did pretty well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
For kind of a long time. Today in 91, baseball officially bans Rose from being elected to the Hall.
Bastards. Seriously.
Steve Jobs. Yeah.
Change the rules on them.
Steve Jobs introduces the iPhone today in 2007. Clemson beats Alabama in 2017 for the Natty.
That was Dabo's first.
And a year
Tampa, I think.
And a year ago, Georgia slaughtered TCU for the Natty.
Oof.
Nixon, Gilligan, and Dick Enberg, all born today.
Oh, my.
Joan Baez is 83. Jimmy Page is 80. I suggest everybody rock some Led Zeppelin today for Jimmy Page. Muggsy Bogues is 59. Dave Matthews, 57. Sergio Garcia is 44. And Kate Middleton is 42.
Stallone starts filming Rocky today in 76. Do you know how long it took him to film that movie? 28 days. That's remarkable. There's also something in Rocky, like the fight scenes, the technique they used, and what have you. Also, they used it with him running through the streets.
Him running through the streets. The guy who rigged the camera up to run the stairs with Rocky. It's
had never been
changed the way he did movies.
Yep. Had never been done before. Yep. By the way, Trent, that's an iconic movie. Rocky.
Is it
nominated for 10 Oscars? One, he was nominated for Best Actor, didn't win. One Best Picture. He wrote the screenplay in 3.5 days. It's amazing, the backstory behind Rocky. One other thing. You mentioned that today was the day that Steve Jobs debuted the iPhone. 6 years earlier, Apple launched iTunes. That kind of changed how we consumed music.
Definitely did.
So that's all I got.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to the waters between Miami and the Bahamas, where Captain Brick Peoples, sounds like a boat captain name. Hey, Captain Brick. They were on their way home from the Bahamas, passing through Cat Cay, when they noticed something in the distance. When they approached, they discovered a killer whale. According to NOAA, killer whales are extremely rare off the eastern U.S. coast. Said he's been making that run since he was 2 years old. He's 64 now, and he's never seen it before. For the bad, we go to Canada, where more wildlife are in the mix. This time it's moose. Parks officials in Canada are urging drivers not to stop on the highways and let moose lick salt off their cars. Apparently, we have a problem of moose licking salt off of cars and then getting hit by vehicles. So don't let the moose lick the salt. Finally, the ugly, we go to Utah, where police responded to Timdale Mazda when two car buyers made a return trip to the Mazda dealership. They showed up 6 days earlier and leased a car. Lurie Willis and Gabriel Baker had fake licenses, fake Social Security cards, and fake everything. They leased a car and left. Never made a down payment. They got away with it. And they said, why not try to steal a second car? So they came back to the same dealership with the same IDs and tried to lease another car. Fortunately, someone at Tyndale Mazda identified them and police apprehended them on the scene. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, January the 9th, 2024.
5 NBA games. Magic hosting the Timberwolves. Timberwolves have cooled off after that great start. But the Magic are a 5.5-point home dog tonight. Interesting. I think I might take the points for what that's worth. College hoops tonight. Trent will be in his glory. Although, the matchup that probably interests him the most, being the Big Ten homer that he is Purdue at Nebraska. That's 9 o'clock on Peacock. Might as well pay for it now. You got to pay for it for the Dolphins game. Houston's still unbeaten. They're number 2 in the country. They're on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. I think they're the last Division I unbeaten.
Yeah, because Ole Miss got beat by Tennessee over the weekend. I thought they were the other remaining undefeated, and they got whooped by Tennessee.
Yeah, they're, I don't think, as good as their record.
No, it was a lot like what Clemson did at the early part of the century when they would play 13 games against terrible teams and be undefeated, then go into the ACC and get drilled.
The Cougars are on the road, 7 o'clock ESPN2 at Iowa State. Welcome to the Big 12, boys. Houston only a 3.5-point favorite. The ESPN college basketball doubleheader, this is going to shock everybody. Kentucky at 7 o'clock and Duke at 9. I know, it's a shocker. Kentucky's hosting Missouri. They're big favorites. Duke at Pitt against the former assistant Jeff Capel. Duke only a 5.5-point favorite. Florida State, an underdog tonight. 2.5 points the Noles are getting on ACC Network at 7 o'clock against Steve Forbes and Wake Forest. And NHL tonight, just a boatload of games. Lightning are hosting the Kings. Panthers, who, 7, 8 in a row? They are crushing people also. I mean, they're not going on the road beating people. They're destroying people. Panthers in St. Louis at 8 o'clock. Lightning hosting the Kings at 7. So there.
My college hoop bet of the night, David, a little off the board. 17th ranked Colorado State, who's good. Only laying 2.5 at Boise. Give me the Rams tonight.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
I'm going to sprinkle on that. I'm sprinkling.
By the way, from a ranking standpoint, the game of the night, BYU at Baylor, they're both in the top 20. Don't you think this is an interesting night? BYU and Houston, both ranked. Houston's unbeaten. Welcome to the Big 12. And they're both on the road. Go for it, boys.
This is a little step up in class. This is what happened to your football teams, having to play Power 5 school week after week after week. How will the basketball teams handle it?
By the way, guys, since you're both sprinkling on Colorado State, Boise State, I see the line down to $1.50. So you don't even have to go 2.5.
I like it.
I think you can only lay 1.5.
Like it even better.
So there you go. I got to think an NFL coach gets fired today. I know the meetings happened yesterday, but whether it's fired or they agree to part ways.
Right. We're not even at 6 yet, David.
I know. Come on now.
The plot is thickening with Vrabel.
Yes.
I've been keeping up with that a little bit just because I still have a few friends that cover the Titans and whatever, and they have no idea what's going on. Like it's all or nothing. Vrabel wants more to do with the decision making, but the ownership isn't sure if they want to grant him that. So that could be one of those that David's talking about where it's kind of at a stalemate and later in the week they just decide to part ways.
Tough to ask for more power when you have the season that you did.
Right.
Well, this goes back to, he told A.J. Brown to his face, "No, man, we've just had the meetings. You're not getting traded. Okay, we'll find the money. We'll come up with the money. It's all good." And Vrabel found out that A.J. Brown was getting traded at about the same time A.J. Brown found out. And he was not happy.
Look at how it worked out for him.
Well, this might also be one of those situations where Vrabel's kind of forcing them to force him out. And he's also testing the waters by saying, I want power with both, kind of like Belichick. And then he can go do that elsewhere, maybe in New England.
Well, I don't know that he'll want the power elsewhere. I just think he doesn't trust the people doing the decisions in Nashville. Now, he got the guy who traded A.J. Brown. He got him fired. But I'm not so sure he trusts, isn't it Rand Carthon who came over for the Niners? I'm not so sure he trusts Rand either.
Yeah, he never got the power. He got the guy fired, but he never got the power that goes along with getting someone fired, if you know what I mean.
So, yeah, Mike Vrabel will be unemployed an hour and a half. Miller and Moulton, have a great rest of your day. It's a hump day edition tomorrow.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.